listening on the radio, and those 120 million, or however it works out to be, deserve to be able to listen and observe on this stage tonight. These two men put forth the reasons why they should be elected president of the United States. And that's why it's been our history in the general election debates that we urge our audiences not to clap,
All right. Okay. All right. We are officially live.
When we work together.
Okay, here. I think you're live right now too. All right.
Yeah. You're on the C-SPAN first 2020 presidential debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, correct?
Yep.
Western Reserve University,
I bet.
Barbara Snyder.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Tom.
Barbara Snyder is talking.
Honored to co-host
Who is
the
this?
presidential debate with our
Barbara
partners
Snyder,
at
bro.
Cleveland Clinic, and delighted to show you this spectacular space we created together. Research has
All right, you gotta give me a second,
that
okay?
team-based healthcare leads to
Yep.
better outcomes for patients.
All
Yet
right, I'm
nearly
kind of
every
excited.
academic
I am
institution
really excited,
continues
man.
to prepare students in separate buildings, literally in silos.
Just doing a couple of stream tests and
Yet
stuff.
after spending
1 second.
years learning only with students from the same profession, doctors with doctors, nurses with nurses, and so on, they are suddenly expected to know how to work in teams once they get their diplomas. We knew there had to be students a huge
All right, 1 sec. Let me catch up.
learn with
Barbara.
and from one another.
Trying to be all the way up to date. You still there, Kier?
And we know our graduates will
Here?
be
Yeah.
uniquely
All right.
prepared
Good
Yes,
luck.
I'm
to
eating,
excel
dude.
in team-based
Okay, no, we're all
care
good.
and ultimately to lead it.
7
Along
minutes.
the way,
All right, here.
Cleveland
Okay.
and Case Western Reserve also
I don't know what that
learned
was. All right.
from one another.
I'm gonna.
I'm eating chicken. I'm eating chicken, so I have to have a toggle mute.
All right, I'm going to. Got a text from Fox. I am going to mute this C-SPAN live stream real quick, so we can talk about what we are going to expect. I know you're eating right now, Kier, but
Yeah, no, I can talk. I can talk.
for reference, it is in fact two. My camera probably just autofocused itself out the ass, but it's 3 a.m. in the morning for me on a school night.
That's
I am currently in
redundant. It's
Germany.
3 a.m.
Fuck
Ooh,
you.
I'm excited. Yeah, it's yeah.
Oh
I'm
shit!
in
Oh
LA.
shit! Ivanka Trump's here. Wait. Oh shit! Wait.
Cosgrove, we couldn't
Should we turn the audio back on?
I turned it on.
One housekeeping.
Oh,
bit
there's
for
Jill
the
Biden.
Audience,
There's
Where?
nothing to
Mr.
listen to.
Debate
We're gonna
over.
wait.
You will please
We'll
remain
start
seated.
when
You
we
will
have
be
2 minutes
shown-
left before the debate starts.
All right.
We'll
Sounds good.
start. We'll turn on.
C-SPAN is
Um,
like is shitting itself right now, but
No, it's not.
for me it is. Yeah,
I've
well,
got
because I'm also
perfect-
using a lot of fucking bitrate, but actually no, we're good. We're fine. Okay. Yeah. So let's talk about what we think we're gonna expect from this. This is gonna be really fucking funny. I am.
Oh, Chris Wallace. Okay, never mind. Fuck this. Fuck this. Chris Wallace is on.
Okay. Yeah. Hello.
There's no audio. What the fuck?
Chris.
Chris, we can't hear you.
Oh my god.
Chris, come on. Come on, Chris.
Oh, you have no audio.
Chris.
You have no audio
Hast du es
either.
auch satt? Jeden Monat dein
Hm, nein,
hartverdientes Geld deinem
Oh, okay.
Strohmann wieder in den
I thought it was
Nacken
my
zu werfen?
Chrome like dying.
Dann gib
What the fuck is going on?
Is there a live chat for this? Because I'm sure people are like, what the
Let me
fuck?
see.
You also have no audio. I mean, I guess we can
I'm
wait.
checking other lives. Hold on. Yeah, there's no audio. I just went to the Fox News live stream. It's not us.
Okay, well, we can talk about what we're
Where's the
gonna
where's
expect.
the fucking audio, dude? Chris, come on.
While,
I'm gonna go to. I'll be checking.
Yeah,
I'll be
check
checking
out.
Twitter, see
Yeah,
what
go ahead,
everyone's
check.
talking about.
But
Holy shit! The trending page crashed.
Jesus Christ, man. Yeah. Okay. Well, this is gonna be a shit show. Evidently, we did review the
Yeah,
topics.
everyone's losing their shit. Everyone's losing their shit on Twitter.
We did review
this is funny.
the debate topics on our podcast and what we'd expect each of these people to say. So if you didn't listen to that, that's your fault. But we can go over them real quick. I'm not gonna pull them up because my Chrome's already lagging enough. But I'll pull them up on my phone right now. Yo. We got 4 minutes until this goes live.
What are these fucking tools?
Why do they look so, dude? Oh god, transporters look weird.
They all have plastic surgery. All three of these women.
There's Ivanka,
There's
right?
Kimberly Guilfoyle. That's Ivanka. No, that you just saw Tiffany. This is Ivanka.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Wench. I don't know what wench means. This is the guy who said that he was part of the LGBT community this morning.
What do you mean? Wait, what?
He was on Fox News and he said, "I love and appreciate the LGBT community, and we support Trump, and I'm part of that community." Which obviously was he fucked up when he was speaking that, but yeah, no, it sounded like he was coming out and saying, "Oh, audio's back, fucking finally, Jesus Christ, it's starting."
Holy shit!
I'm so excited.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Are they wheeling out? Oh, I thought they were wheeling out Joe Biden. Oh, there's Melania. She had arrived. Look, she's wearing a mask. Why is nobody around her wearing a mask?
I think
She's
she
the
has
first lady.
a speck of intelligence. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think her PR team has the intelligence.
I can hardly contain myself, dude. Holy shit.
Her PR team's definitely the people with the intelligence here. But all of the other Trump supporters are not wearing masks, which is surprising. Oh.
The stream has audio, right?
Yeah, of course. I think we're all good, man. Come on, C-SPAN. Chris Wallace is just sitting there like, what the fuck, guys? Joe Biden and Donald Trump both get wheeled out on wheelchairs.
Yeah, I mean, this is a little bit awkward. Generally.
Yeah.
A lot of silence.
Dude, everybody, they're just like having their small talk and shit. But we haven't seen Joe Biden yet. You said you saw him earlier. We haven't seen him yet, right?
I haven't seen either of them.
Yeah.
Man,
man. This is exciting. I'm stoked on this.
Dude, that doesn't even do it justice. I'm fucking losing my mind.
We're both losing our shit over this. Oh, this is the nerdiest thing, dude.
Because we've been fucking waiting for like ages for this bullshit.
Yeah, really. Dude, I'm so horny for this, dude. Holy shit.
That's very odd for you to say, man. It's kind of awkward.
Kind of awkward, bro. Not really working out for us today, is it?
I don't know, kind of based. Where's Hunter? Where's Joe Biden? Where's Sleepy Joe? Where is he? I'm not based.
Where's Sleepy Joe? Probably sleeping. Not based. Probably sleeping right now. Dude, Sleepy Joe is probably taking a nap right now. Sleepy Joe is getting pissed on in the backstage by Donald Trump. I love how our podcast is so tame, and then the live stream is the fuckery. This should have started 3 minutes ago. So
almost 4, dude. I'm still. I can hardly fucking contain myself.
What is going on, dude?
I don't know.
Oh
shit!
Come on. Was it just a camera change?
Come on, Jack.
Was it just an angle change?
Come on, Jack. It could be.
Oh, it's nothing, dude. It was nothing.
Come on.
Why are they blue balling us so hard? Oh.
I heard something.
Yeah, there he is. Okay, I think you're late. You're a little delayed, buddy.
What do you mean?
You're the live stream is. You're reacting later than I am. Just trying to make sure.
Let's say I at the same time.
No, like it's not us that are delayed.
Shut the fuck up. Shut up.
Good evening from the Health Education campus of Case Western Reserve University and the Cleveland Clinic. I'm Chris Wallace of Fox News, and I welcome you to the first of the 2020 presidential debates between President Donald J. Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. This debate is sponsored by the Commission on Presidential Debates. The commission has designed the format, 6 roughly 15-minute segments with 2-minute answers from each candidate to the first question, then open discussion for the rest of each segment. Both campaigns have agreed to these rules. For the record, I decided the topics and the questions in each topic. I can assure you, none of the questions has been shared with the commission or the two candidates. This debate is being conducted under health and safety protocols designed by the
Wait,
Cleveland
health and
Clinic,
safety protocols
which is
with
serving
no
as the
masks in the
health
Trump
security
section?
advisor to the commission for
I
all
guess
4
that's the
debates.
Ohio rules, man.
As a precaution,
Oh my
both
God.
campaigns have agreed the candidates will not shake hands at the beginning of tonight's debate.
Rip.
The audience here in the hall has promised to remain silent. No cheers, no boos or other interruptions, so we, and more importantly you, can focus on what the candidates have to say.
This is great. I
No
love this
noise
format.
except right now, as we welcome the Republican nominee,
Pogger.
President Trump,
Oh my
and the
God.
Democratic
Oh
nominee,
my God.
Vice
Did you say
President
Pog?
Fuck yes. Yeah, Pog.
Oh, there he is,
There he
dude,
is.
dude. Oh my God. And there he is. Big Joe. Look. Oh, look at him. He's looking at Trump. Oh,
Big Joe.
this is so good. This is so good. Holy shit. Oh my God.
I'm sweating my ass off, dude. I'm sweating my ass off.
Gentlemen, a lot of people have been waiting for this night, so let's get going. Our first subject is the Supreme Court. President Trump, you nominated Amy Coney Barrett over the weekend to succeed the late Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the court. You say the Constitution is clear about your obligation and the Senate's to consider a nominee to the court. Vice President Biden, you say that this is an effort by the president and Republicans to jam through an appointment and what you call an abuse of power. My first question to both of you tonight, why are you right in the argument you make and your opponent wrong? And where do you think a Justice Barrett would take the court? President Trump, in this first segment, you go first. 2 minutes.
Oh God.
I will tell you very simply, we won the election. Elections have consequences. We have the Senate, we have the White House, and we have a
is so
phenomenal
primitive.
nominee, respected by all.
Yeah, that you should have used that fucking logic last time then,
Good
dude.
in every way, good in every way. In fact, some of her biggest endorsers are very liberal people from Notre Dame and other places. So I think she's going to be fantastic.
taking
We have
notes.
Plenty of time. Even if we did it after the election itself. I have a lot of time after the election, as you know. So I think that she will
Fuck
be
you, dude.
outstanding. She's going to be as good as anybody that has served on that court. We really feel that. We have a professor at Notre Dame, highly respected by all, said she's the single greatest student
nice and
he's ever
calm,
had. He's been
thank
a
God.
professor
Highly
for a long
respected
time
by
at a
all.
great school.
Yeah, I'm glad he's calm.
And,
I think it's gonna get a lot more rowdy
won the
later.
election, and therefore we have the right.
I don't know. I'm
to choose
excited.
her.
This is going
Very
well
few
for me
people
personally. I think this is
knowingly
going well.
Would say
I don't know.
otherwise. And by the way, the Democrats, they wouldn't even think about not doing it. If they had, the only difference is they'd try and do it faster. There's no way they would give it up.
Oh, he's
They
smiling.
had Merrick
That
Garland,
sexy
but
smile.
The problem is they didn't have the election.
Thank
so
you,
they were
dude.
stuck.
Fuck.
And probably that would happen in reverse also. Definitely would happen in reverse. So we won the election, and we have the right to do it, Chris.
President Trump, thank you. Same question to you, Vice President Biden. You have 2 minutes.
Well, first of all, thank you for doing this and looking forward to this, Mr. President.
Thank you, Joe.
The American people have a right to have a say in who the Supreme Court nominee is. And that say occurs when they vote for United States senators and when they vote for the President of the United States. They're not going to get that chance now because we're in the middle of an election already. The election has already started. Tens of thousands of people have already voted. And so the thing that should happen is we should wait. We should wait and see what the outcome of this election is, because that's the only way the American people get to express their view is by who they elect as president and who they elect as vice president. Now, what's at stake here is the president's made it clear he wants to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. He's been running on that, he ran on that, and he's been governing on that. He's in the Supreme Court right now trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, which will strip 20 million people
Sleepy
from
Joe.
having insurance, health insurance now, if it goes into court, and the justice. And I have nothing. I'm not opposed to the justice. She seems like a very fine person, but she's written before she went on the bench, which is her right, that she thinks that the Affordable Care Act is not constitutional. The other thing that's on the court, and if it's struck down, what happens? Women's rights are fundamentally changed. Once again,
Yep.
a woman could be pay more money because she has a pre-existing condition of pregnancy. They were able to
Somebody
charge
get this dude a
women
pop
for the
filter.
Same exact procedure a man gets.
I mean-
and that ended
I think it was
when we,
popping.
in fact, passed the Affordable Care Act. And there's 100 million people who have pre-existing conditions, and they'll be taken away as well. Those pre-existing conditions, the insurance companies are going to love this. And so it's just not appropriate to do this before this election. If he wins the election and the Senate is Democrat or Republican, then he goes forward. If not, we should wait until February.
There aren't 100 million people with pre-existing conditions. As far as the say is
Oh, he's going
concerned,
wild now.
people already had their say. Okay.
Look.
Justice Ginsburg said very powerfully, very strongly, at some point, 10 years ago or so, she said a president and the Senate is elected for a period of time, but a president's elected for 4 years. We're not elected for 3 years. I'm not elected for 3 years. So we have the Senate, we have a president.
He's elected to the next
During
election.
that period of time,
He's interrupting.
we
It's
have
nice.
an opening. I'm not elected for 3 years. I'm elected for 4 years.
The
And the
election's
100
already
million
started.
people, Joe, the 100 million people is totally wrong. I don't know where you got that number. The bigger problem
He calls
that
him
you
Joe,
have
which is super
is that
disrespectful.
you're going to extinguish 180 million people with their private health care that they're very
That's
happy
simply
with.
not true.
Well, you're certainly
knows
going
that.
to socialist.
Go
You're
ahead.
going to
This-
socialist.
this is-
citizens.
we're now into, gentlemen, we're now into open
No, he
discussion.
called him socialist already?
Yes, I agree.
He already said
Number
socialist.
one, he knows that what I proposed. What I proposed is that we expand Obamacare.
This is not
and
serious,
we increase
dude.
it. We do not wipe any. And one of
This
the
is
big
going
debates
fine.
we had
I'm
with
not even nervous.
23
Yes.
of my colleagues trying to win the nomination that I won were saying that Biden wanted to allow people to have private insurance still. They can. They do. They will under my proposal.
It's not what you've said,
But
and it's not what
that
your
is-
party has said.
that is simply
Your party
a lie.
doesn't say it. Your
That
party
is
wants to
simple.
go socialist
My
medicine
party is
and
me.
socialist
Right
healthcare.
now, I am
and
the
they're going to
Democratic
dominate
Party.
you, Joe. You know that.
I am the Democratic Party right now. The platform of the
Not according
Democratic
to
Party
Harris.
is what I
This is
in
so
fact,
amazing, dude.
approved of. What I approved of. Now here's the deal. The deal is that it's going to wipe out pre-existing conditions. And by the way, the 200,000 people that have died on his watch, how many of those have survived? Well, there's 7 million people that contracted COVID. What does it mean for them going forward if you strike down the Affordable Care Act? And
Joe, you've had
pre-existing conditions?
308,000 military people dying because you couldn't provide them proper health care in the military. So don't tell me
I'm
about
happy
this.
to talk about
And
this.
if you were here,
Look,
it
here's
wouldn't be
the deal.
200, it would be 2 million people.
This went
because you were
south
very
so
late on the
quickly.
draw. You
Late
didn't
on
want
the
me to
draw.
ban
It's
a
China,
Trump
which
debate.
was heavily infected.
Much better than the
You
Hillary
didn't want me to
Clinton
ban.
All right,
Fuck you,
gentlemen,
dude.
Which was heavily
Mr. President,
You would have
Mr.
been much
President,
later, Joe.
Mr. President,
much later.
Mr.
You're
President.
talking about 2 million people.
You're not gonna be able to
President, as
shut
the
him up.
moderator, we are going to talk about COVID in the next segment, but go ahead.
Let me finish. The point is that the president also is opposed to Roe v. Wade. That's on the ballot as well in the court. And so that's also at stake right now. And so the election is already
You don't know it's on the
begun.
ballot.
I-
Why is it on the ballot?
Because
Why is it
you
on the
said
ballot? It's not
you're-
on the ballot.
It's on the ballot in the
I
court.
don't think so.
In the court. Well,
There's nothing happening there.
Donald, would you
And you
just be
don't
quiet
know
for a
her
minute?
view on Roe v. Wade. You
I
don't
don't
know her
know.
view.
Well, all right.
Ooh.
All right.
That's a
let's
blow
talk
for
about-
Joe.
Yeah.
We got a lot to unpack here, gentlemen. We got a lot of time. So,
Oof.
on health care, and then we'll come back to Roe v. Wade.
All right.
Mr. President, the Supreme Court will hear a case a week after
Fuck,
the
I'm
election
so nervous.
in
Holy
which
shit.
the Trump administration, along with 18 state attorneys general, are seeking to overturn
That's right.
Obamacare, to end Obamacare. You have spent the last...
Because they
If-
want to
if
give
I-
good
if I-
health care.
If I may ask my question, sir.
Good health care.
Over
Good healthcare.
the last 4 years, you have promised to repeal and replace Obamacare, but you have never in these 4 years come up with a plan, a comprehensive plan
Yes,
to
I have.
replace Obamacare.
Of course I have.
Well, I'll
I
give
got
you an
rid of the
and when I
individual
finish,
mandate.
I'm going to give you an
Excuse me.
opportunity.
I got
when
rid of the individual mandate, which was a
That is
big
not a
chunk of
comprehensive
That
plan.
is absolutely a big thing. That was the worst
I
part
didn't
of
ask,
Obamacare.
Sir,
Chris,
you're
that was the
debating him,
worst
not
part
me.
of Obamacare.
Let me ask my question.
Well, I'll ask Joe. The individual mandate was the most
Dude, how is he already
unpopular
how is he
aspect
dissing the
of Obamacare.
moderator?
I got rid of it.
I'd like you
and
to,
we will
Mr.
protect people.
President,
who
I'm
He's
the
a
moderator
dumbass.
of this debate. and I would like you to let me ask my question, and then you can answer your
ahead.
question.
This is so terrible.
In the course of these 4 years, have never come up with a comprehensive plan to replace Obamacare, and just this last Thursday, you signed a largely symbolic executive order to protect people with pre-existing conditions 5 days before this debate. So my question, sir, is what is
he really got him on that one.
health care plan?
Well,
Yeah, he was like,
first
dude,
of
I was
all,
gonna
I'm
praise
debating
you.
You, not him, but that's okay. I'm not surprised. Let me just tell you something, that there's nothing symbolic. I'm cutting drug prices. I'm going with favored nations, which no president has
Shit, man.
the courage to do because you're going against Big Pharma.
Oh.
Drug prices will be coming down.
He's
80%.
paid by Big Pharma.
You could have done it during your 47-year
Nah.
period in government, but you didn't do it. Nobody's done it. So we're cutting health care.
What about
All of the
pre-existing
things that
conditions?
we've done,
He has not cut
insulin. I
healthcare.
give you an example. Insulin. It was destroying families, destroying people. The cost. I'm getting it for so cheap. It's like water. You want to know the
back.
truth? So cheap. Take a look at all of the drugs what we're doing.
What?
Prescription drug prices. We're going to allow our governors now to go to other countries to buy drugs because
When in
they
fact-
pay just a tiny fraction.
As I say,
of
this
what
is
we do.
open discussion.
No,
let me
but
ask
this
you
is
about,
big.
you'll
This
be
is
happy,
big stuff.
sir. You'll be happy. I'm about to pick up on one of your points to ask the vice president, which is he points out that you would like to add a public option to Obamacare, and
Yes.
the argument that he makes and other Republicans make is that is going to end private insurance.
It is
and
not.
will, if I can
sorry.
ask you the question, it will
Not
end.
what your party says, by the way.
It will
See how much
end
more
private
respectful Joe
insurance
Biden is?
and create a government takeover
Yeah.
of health care.
It does not. It's only for those people who are so poor they qualify for Medicaid. They can get that free in most states, except governors who want to deny people who are poor Medicaid. Anyone who qualifies for Medicare would, Medicaid would automatically be enrolled in the public option. The vast majority of the American people would still not be in that option. Number one.
Joe, you
Number
agreed
two.
with Bernie Sanders, who's far
did-
left, on the manifesto,
Well,
we
you-
call it.
well,
And that
manifest-
gives you socialized medicine.
Look, hey,
Are you
I'm
saying
not
you
going
didn't
to listen
agree?
to him. The fact of the matter is, I beat Bernie Sanders.
Not by much.
I beat him a whole hell of a lot. I'm here.
Not by
I'm here
much.
standing facing you, old buddy.
Pocahontas would have
Old
left
buddy.
and
He said
they
old buddy.
lost every
All he
primary
knows how to
on
do is
Super
hurt.
Tuesday.
What is
You
what
got
is
a
what
very
is
lucky
what the
deal.
fuck is this
I got
shit?
very
This is
lucky
what I was
and
talking
you're
about, where
very
it's like a
lucky tonight
circus.
as well. And tonight I'm going to
With
make
what?
sure because
With what?
here's the deal. Here's the deal. The fact is that everything he's saying so far is simply a lie. I'm not here to call out his lies. Everybody knows he's a liar.
But you
I just
agree.
want to make
Joe,
sure.
you're the liar.
I want to make sure.
Graduated last in your class, not first in your class.
I want to make
Mr.
sure.
President, can you let him finish, sir?
No, he doesn't know how to do that. He has,
You'd
you
be
know,
surprised.
you pick
You'd be surprised.
the
Go ahead,
wrong
Joe.
guy,
Talk,
the wrong
talk,
night
Joe,
at the
go.
wrong time.
Listen, you agreed with
Here's the
Bernie
deal.
Sanders to the
The
manifesto.
whole idea.
Let
Now
him.
you're disavowing it.
There is no
Trump
manifesto.
we're doing
Number
it with
one.
the interruptions.
Number two.
You just
Like
lost
it's
the left.
pissing me
Number
off.
two.
You just lost the left. You agreed with Bernie Sanders on a plan
folks,
that's absolutely
folks,
agreed
do you have
to,
any
and under that
idea
plan,
what
you have
this clown's
socialized,
doing?
They call it
Mr.
Medicare.
Do you
Mr.
have any
President.
do?
Socialized medicine.
Mr.
This
President,
is like the worst I've ever
It
seen,
is
dude.
not for any
This is a-
help
this
for
is
people
bad.
needing health care.
already really fucking bad.
Because he, in fact, already has cost 10 million people their health care that they had from their employers because of his recession. Number one. Number two, there are 20 million people getting health care through Obamacare now that he wants to take it away. He won't ever look you in the eye and say that's what he wants to do. Take it away.
No, I want to give
Number
them better
three.
health care at a much lower price
But-
because
and by the way,
Obamacare
he doesn't
is
know
no
how.
good.
He doesn't know how
I've
to do
already
that.
fixed it.
He has never
I've
offered
already
a plan.
fixed it to an extent.
He has never
Obamacare,
done a
as
single
you might
thing.
know, but probably don't.
Gentlemen, you
is
realize
no
if you're
good,
both
Joe.
speaking at the
It's no
same
good,
time,
and it's too expensive.
let the
Gentlemen,
president-
you
go ahead.
realize that you're both
Obamacare
speaking at the same
is no
time.
good. We made it better.
I didn't
and I
realize
had a choice
that.
to make very early on. We took away the individual mandate. We guarantee pre-existing conditions, but took away the individual mandate. Listen, this is the way it is. And that destroyed.
This is the way it is,
They
guys.
shouldn't even call it Obamacare. Then I had a choice to make. Do I let my people run it really well or badly? If I run it badly, they'll probably blame him, but they'll blame me. But more importantly, I want to help people, okay? I said, you got to run it so well.
That's what he's
And I
known for.
just had a meeting with them. They said the problem is no matter how well you run Obamacare, it's a disaster. It's too expensive.
I got you.
Premiums
I
are
got
too
it.
high,
That's
and it
what his
doesn't work.
peop- that's what
So
his people
we
said.
do want to
No,
get
no,
rid of it.
but it's
Chris,
an
we
open
want to get rid of it.
I
and
understand
give
it, sir,
something
but I have
that's
to
cheaper
give
and
you
better.
roughly equal time.
Good.
Please let the vice president talk.
Good.
He has no
Fuck.
plan for health care.
Of course we do.
Please.
He sends out wishful thinking. He has executive orders that have no power. He hasn't lowered drug costs for anybody. He's been promising a health care plan since he got elected. He has none, like almost everything else he talks about. He does not have a plan. He doesn't have a plan. And the
That
fact
hammers,
is, this
dude.
man doesn't know what he's talking about.
All right.
He's
I
against
have one final question for you,
Sure.
Mr. Vice President. If Senate Republicans, we were talking originally about the Supreme Court here, if Senate Republicans go ahead and confirm Justice Barrett, there has been talk about ending the filibuster or even packing the court, adding to the 9 justices there. You call this a distraction by the president, but in fact, it wasn't brought up by the president. It was brought up by some of your Democratic colleagues in the Congress. So my question to you is, you have refused in the past to talk about it. Are you willing to tell the American people tonight whether or not you will support either ending the filibuster or packing the court?
Whatever position I take on that, that'll become the issue. The issue is the American people should speak. You should go out and vote. You're in voting now. Vote and let your senators know how strongly you feel. Vote now.
gonna pack the
Make
court?
sure you, in fact, let people know
Fuck,
you're a
dude.
senator. I'm not going to answer the question
Why
because
wouldn't you answer that
because
question?
the
You wanna
question
put a lot
is
of
the
new
question
Supreme Court
is
justices,
the
radical
question-
left.
Will you shut up,
Radical
man?
left.
Who's on your list, Joe?
This
Who's
is
on your
so
list?
right.
Gentlemen,
This is-
I think
This
we've
is
ended
so
this.
He's going to pack the
unpresidential.
court.
That
We
is
have
so-
ended.
not gonna give a list.
We have ended this segment. We're going to move on to the second segment.
That was really a productive segment, wasn't it? Yapping, man.
The people understand.
Okay. So Biden's gotten a little bit in right now,
They understand.
just now, especially with the he doesn't have a plan.
COVID-19, which is an awfully serious subject. So
Fuck.
let's
Compose
try to be
yourselves.
serious about it. We have had more than 7 million cases of coronavirus in the United States, and more than 200,000 people
200,000 deaths,
have died.
motherfucker.
Even after we produce a vaccine, experts say that it could be months or even years before we come back to anything approaching normal. My question for both of you is, based on what you have said and done so far, and what you have said you would do starting in 2021, why should the American people trust you more than your opponent to deal with this public health crisis going forward? In this case, the question goes to you first, sir. 2
Let's
minutes
go.
uninterrupted.
Come on.
Good luck. 200,000 dead. As you said, over 7 million infected in the United States. We, in fact, have 5%, 4% of the world's population, 20% of the deaths. 40,000 people a day are contracting COVID. In addition to that, about between 750 and 1,000 people a day are dying. When he was presented with that number, he said, it is what it is. Well, it is what it is because you are who you are. That's why it is.
Damn.
The president has no plan. He hasn't laid out anything. He knew all the way back in February how
I'm
serious
fucking
this
stressed.
crisis was.
Yeah.
He knew it was a deadly disease. What did he do? He's on tape as acknowledging he knew it. He said he didn't tell us or give people a warning of it because he didn't want to panic the American people.
Wow.
You don't panic. He panicked. In addition to that, what did he do? He went in and we were insisting that the Chinese, the people we had on the ground in China should be able to go to Wuhan and determine for themselves how dangerous this was. He did not even ask Xi to do that. He told us what a great job Xi was doing. He said we owe him a debt of gratitude for being so transparent with us. And what did he do then? He then did nothing. He waited and waited and waited. He still doesn't have a plan. I laid out
Sir,
back
it's
in
his
March
So-
exactly
it's so
what we
wrong.
should be doing. And I laid out again in July what we should be doing. We should be providing all the protective gear possible. We should be providing the money the House has passed in order to be able to go out and get people the help they need to keep their businesses open schools that cost a lot of money. You should get out of your bunker and get out of the sand trap and get in your golf course and go
Sure,
in the
Biden's
Oval
coming
Office
for
and bring
that.
together the Democrats and Republicans and fund what needs to be done now to save lives.
So if we would have listened to
Wait,
you,
you have 2 minutes, sir.
if we would have listened to you, the country would have been left wide open. Millions of people
This is
would have
insane,
died, not
dude.
200,000, and one person is
What do
too
you mean
much. It's
if?
China's fault. It should have never happened. They stopped it from going in, but it was China's fault. And by the way, when you talk about numbers, you don't know how many people died in China. You don't know how many people died in Russia. You don't know how many people died in India. They don't exactly give you a straight count, just so you understand. But if you look at what we've done, I closed it, and you said he's xenophobic. He's a racist, and he's xenophobic because you didn't think I should
unrelated
have
to
closed
your
our country.
COVID.
Wait a
It
minute.
says 2 minutes.
You didn't think we should have closed our country because you thought it was terrible. You wouldn't have closed it for another 2 months. By my doing it early, in fact, Dr. Fauci said, President Trump saved thousands of lives. Many of you Democrat governors said, President Trump did a phenomenal job. We worked with the governor.
Dude,
really?
oh my
Go take a
God.
look. The governors said I did a phenomenal job.
Trump
Most
insane?
of
I'm not
even
them
paying
said
attention
that.
right now.
In
Is
fact,
Trump doing
people
well or not?
that would not be
Not really, no.
necessarily
He's
on
just
my
he's just
side
attacking
said
Joe
that.
Biden and not presenting a COVID
President
plan.
Trump did a phenomenal
There's no
job.
COVID plan there.
We did. We got the gowns. We got the masks. We made the ventilators. You wouldn't have made
He's talking
ventilators.
shit,
and
dude.
now we're weeks away from a vaccine. We're doing therapeutics already. Fewer people are dying when they get sick. Far fewer people are dying. We've done a great job. The only thing I haven't done a good job, and that's because of the fake news. No matter what you say
Oh
to them,
my
they give you bad
God.
press on it. It's just fake news. They give you good press. They give me bad press.
This would be a-
because
this would
that's
be a
the way
shot
it is,
right now.
unfortunately. But let me just tell you something. I don't care. I've gotten used to it. But I'll tell you, Joe, you could never have done the job that we did. You don't have it in your blood. You could have never done that job.
I know how to do the job. I know how to get the job
Well, you didn't do
done.
very well in swine flu. H1N1, you were a disaster. Your own chief of staff said you were a disaster.
14,000 people died, not 200,000. There was
A
no
very-
economic recession.
Sir, you made a
There was far
no,
less
there was no
lethal
recession.
disease,
you made
by
a
the way.
point. Let him
And
answer.
And then why are you bringing it up if
No
it's
one-
far less lethal,
no, we didn't shut
dipshit?
down the economy. This is his economy that's being, he shut down. The reason it's shut down is because, look, you folks at home, how many of you got up this morning and had an empty chair at the kitchen table because someone died of COVID? How many of you were in a situation where you lost your mom or dad and you couldn't even speak to them? You had a nurse holding a phone up so you could, in fact, say goodbye.
You would have lost far
How
more
many
people.
people?
Far
That is-
more people.
And,
You would have been
and by the way,
months late.
your own,
You were
his
months behind me,
his
Joe.
own CDC director says we could lose as many as another 200,000 people between now and the end of the year. And he held up. He said, if we just wear a mask, we can save half those numbers. Just a mask. And by the way, in
dude, this
terms
is kinda
of
just
the
like
whole notion of
nerve-wracking.
a vaccine. We're for a vaccine, but I don't trust him at all, nor do you. I know you don't. What we trust is a scientist.
You don't
we
trust
Dr.
Johnson &
Fauci.
Johnson, Pfizer?
And
Okay,
by the way,
gentlemen,
and
gentlemen, let me move on to questions about the future because you
He's so
both
pissed.
touched on two of the questions I'm going to ask.
You know what? I
insane.
don't think Joe
In the
Biden is
future,
holding his
President
own. I'd
Trump,
say he's holding his own.
You have
He is.
repeatedly
He really, really is.
either contradicted or been at odds with some of your government's own top scientists. The week before last, the head of the Centers for Disease Control, Dr. Redfield, said it would be summer before the vaccine would become generally available to the public. You said that he was confused and mistaken. Those were your two words.
Yeah.
But Dr. Slaoui, the head of your Operation Warp Speed, has said exactly the same thing. Are they both wrong?
Well, I've spoken to the companies, and we can have it a lot sooner. It's a very political thing because people like this would rather make it political than save lives. It is a very political thing. I've spoken to Pfizer. I've spoken to all of the people that you have to speak to. We have great Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, and others. They can
So
go
bad,
faster
dude.
than that by a lot.
You
Become
know what?
very political because the left,
Biden
or I
is
don't know if I call it
actually
left, I
giving
don't know what I
answers
call
to
it.
the
Head of your
questions.
Operation
And-
Warp Speed, Dr.
Trump
We've
is
heard so
only
much
ad
from Trump.
homing.
We've heard the
No, I
same
disagree
things.
with both.
Trump is ad
No, but
homing
he-
a
we've
straw
said the
man.
same
He
things
said
from him
it
over and
could
over
be
and
there,
over
but
and
it could
over
also be
again.
much sooner. I had him in my
You know what I
office
mean?
2 days
It's like,
ago.
He
he would have
talked
done so
about
much
the
worse.
summer service
There should only be
generally
one death.
available,
There shouldn't be
just
even
like
one
Dr.
death.
It's a
But there were 200,000.
possibility that we'll
We did so
have
much better than we could have done.
the answer
Then we would have done,
before
I don't know, some shit
November
like that.
1st.
We've heard
It
the
could
same thing
also
over
be
and over
after
again.
that.
Generally
We're hearing new
available.
things
Well,
from
we're
Biden,
going
which
to
is
deliver
good.
it right away. We have the military all set up logistically. They're all set up. We have our military that delivers soldiers, and they can do 200,000 a day. They're going to be
This is
delivering
the
the
same
vaccine.
man
It's
who
all
told
set
you
up.
by Easter this would be gone away. By the warm weather, it'd be gone. Miraculous, like a miracle. And by the way, maybe you could inject some bleach in your arm, and that would take care of it. This is the
That
same
was
man.
said sarcastically,
That was
and you
him.
know that.
I
That was said sarcastically.
And so here's the deal. This man is talking about a vaccine. Every serious company is talking about maybe having a vaccine done by the end of the year. But the distribution of that vaccine will not occur until sometime beginning or the middle of next year to get it out, if we get the vaccine. And pray God we will. Pray God we will.
Mr. Vice President, I want to pick up, though,
You'll have
on
the
that.
vaccine sooner
I want to
than
pick
that.
up on this question, though. You say the public can trust the scientists, but they can't trust President Trump. In fact, you said that again tonight. Your running mate, Senator Harris, goes further, saying the public health experts, quote, will be muzzled, will be suppressed. Given the fact that polls already show that people are concerned about the vaccine and are reluctant to take it, are you and your running mate, Senator Harris, contributing to that fear?
No more than the question you just asked him. You pointed out. He puts pressure and disagrees with his own scientists.
But you're saying
Everybody
you can't, or
knows.
Senator
And-
Harris is saying
no,
you can't trust the scientists.
No, you can trust the scientists. She didn't say that. You can't trust
She said the public health
Did say
experts,
that.
quote, will be muzzled, will be
Yes.
suppressed.
Well, that's what he's going to try to do. But there's millions of scientists, there's thousands of scientists out there, like here at this great hospital, that don't work for him. Their job doesn't depend on him. That's not, they're the people, and by
I
the way.
spoke to the
and Fauci,
scientists that are in charge.
By the way.
They will have the vaccine very
So
soon.
irritating.
Let him finish.
Holy
Do you
shit.
believe for a moment
Dude.
what he's telling you in light of all the lies he's told you about the whole issue relating to COVID? He still hasn't even acknowledged that he knew this was happening,
one-third
knew
of the
how
way
dangerous it was
done.
going to
Oh,
be back
shit,
in
man.
February, and he
feet are
didn't
cold.
even tell you. He's on
insane.
record as saying it. He panicked or he just looked at the stock market, one of the two, because guess what? A lot of people died, and a lot more are going to die unless he gets a lot smarter, a lot quicker.
So-
Mr. President?
Yes.
Did you use the word smart? So you said
Smart?
you went to Delaware State, but you forgot the name of your college. You didn't go to Delaware State. You graduated either the lowest or almost
He's
the lowest in
ad-homing.
the class.
What?
Don't ever use the word smart with me. Don't ever use that word.
Oh, give me a break.
Because you know what? There's nothing smart about you, Joe. 47 years you've done nothing.
Well, let's have this debate.
And if
We'll
you
see
would have
who's
had, let me just tell you something, Joe.
No,
If you would have had the charge of what I was put through, I
Such
had to close the
bullshit.
greatest
It's like-
economy in
it's
the
such-
history of our country. And by the way, now it's being
so
built
dumb.
again.
See,
and it's
We're going to
going
get
up
to the
fast.
economy in the next segment, sir.
Okay.
It's going up fast. I
Okay.
look forward to talking.
When it comes to how the virus has been handled so far, the two of you have taken very different approaches, and this is going to affect how the virus is handled going forward by whichever of you ends up becoming the next president. I want to quickly go through several of those. Reopenings. Vice President Biden, you have been much more reluctant than President Trump about reopening the economy and schools. Why, sir?
Because he doesn't have a plan. If I were running, I know what the plan is. You've got to provide these businesses the ability to have the money to be able to reopen with the PPE as well as with the sanitation they need. You have to
Tell
provide
that
them
to Nancy
plastic.
Pelosi.
Well, he's just shush for a minute.
Tell it to Nancy Pelosi. And Schumer,
by the
Brian
way,
Chuck.
Nancy Pelosi and Schumer, they have a plan. He won't even meet with them. The Republicans won't meet with him in the Senate. And he sits on his golf course. And I mean, literally, think about it.
You probably play
think
more than
about
I
it.
do, Joe.
What about this question of reopenings and the fact?
Well, he wants to shut down this country.
This is insane.
And I want to keep it open. And we
You
did
ju-
a great
he just
thing by
admitted
shutting
he
it
shut
down.
it down.
Wait a minute,
Let
Joe.
him
Let me
finish,
shut
sir.
you down for a second, Joe, just for 1 second. We want to.
This is
He
fucking
wants
crazy,
to shut down
dude.
the country. We just went through it. We had to because we didn't know anything about the disease. Now we found that elderly people with heart problems and diabetes and different problems are very, very vulnerable. We learned a lot. Young
Diabetes?
children aren't. Even younger people aren't. We've learned a lot. But he wants to shut it down. More people will be hurt by continuing. If you look at Pennsylvania, if you look at certain states
Dude, this is-
that have been shut down, they have Democrat governors all. One of the reasons they're shut down is because they want to keep it shut down until after the election on November 3rd.
I want to move on to another
because
subject.
it's a
I want to move
political
on to
thing.
another
I
subject.
gotta
But
respond.
those,
I
but
wanna
those
move,
states,
gentlemen, I
those
wanna move
states
on to
are
another
not
subject.
doing well that are shut down
Which is
right
gotta
now.
now.
respond to that.
Wants
President
to shut
Trump,
down the
you
whole
have
country.
begun to increasingly question the effectiveness of masks
you really
as a
wanted to respond to
disease
it.
preventer. And in fact, recently you have cited the issue of waiters touching their masks and touching plates. Are you questioning
No, I think
the
masks
efficacy
are
of
okay.
of
You have to
masks?
understand, if you look, I mean, I have a mask right here. I put a mask on, when I think I need it. Tonight, as an example, everybody's had a test, and you've had social distancing and all of the things that you have to. But I
Just
wear
like your
masks
rallies.
when needed. When needed, I wear masks.
Okay, let me ask.
I don't wear masks like him. Every time you see him, he's got a mask. He could be speaking 200 feet away from it. He shows up with the biggest mask I've ever seen. I will say this.
Vice President Biden, go ahead, sir.
Look, the way to open businesses is give them the wherewithal to be able to open. We provided money. The Congress.
But I was asking you, sir, about masks.
Well, masks make a big difference. His own head of the CDC said if we just wore masks between now, everybody wore masks in social distance between now and January, we'd probably save up to 100,000 lives. It matters.
And they've also said the opposite. They've also said
no serious person said the opposite.
They've
no
also said, well, look
serious.
at Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci said the
He
opposite.
did not say the opposite.
We got
Said
about
very
more than a
strongly.
minute
No,
left
he
in the
didn't. Dr.
Masks
Fauci
are not
recommended
good.
masks.
Then he changed his mind. He said masks good. I'm
wanna
okay
add-
with masks.
I
I'm
want
not
to
Are
ask
you
you both
dumb?
one last subject, because your different approaches has even affected the way that you have campaigned. President Trump, you're holding large rallies with crowds packed together, thousands of people.
outside.
Outside, yes, sir, agreed. Vice President Biden, you are holding much smaller events with
Because nobody will show up.
people with
Well, it's true. Nobody shows up to his rallies.
All right. In any case, why you holding the
Ad
big
homs,
rallies?
dude. It's
why
full of
you-
ad homs. This
you go
is way
first.
more filled with ad homs than I expected it to
I
be.
want to hear what I have to say. I mean,
But are you
I've
not
done a
worried
great
about it
job
spreading
as a
disease?
president, and I'll have 35,000 people show up at airports.
Or remember when your entire rally was
Are you not
empty?
worried about
we
the
have a
disease
lot of
issues,
people.
sir?
Well, so far we have had no problem whatsoever. It's outside. That's a big difference, according to the experts. And we do them outside. We have tremendous crowds, as you see. I mean, and literally on 24 hours' notice. And Joe does the circles and has 3 people someplace.
Okay.
By the way, did you see
sir.
one of the last big rallies he had? And a reporter came up to him to ask him a question. He said, no, stand back. Put on your mask. Put on a mask. Have you been tested? I'm way far away from those other people. That's what he said. I'm going to be okay. He's not worried about you. He's not worried about the people out there breathing in one another.
We've had no negative
cheek to
effect.
jowl. No negative effect.
We've had no negative effect. And we've had 35,000, 40,000
All right. Do you
people
want
at
to
these rallies.
just
Yes.
quickly finish up, because I want to move on to our next.
Yes, I would. He's been totally irresponsible the
Dude,
way
oh
in
my
which he
God.
has handled the social
going
distancing
nowhere.
and people wearing
He's
masks.
going
Basically
absolutely
encouraging
fucking
them not
nowhere,
to.
man.
All right.
Ben, he's a fool on this.
If you could get the crowds, you would have done the same thing. But you can't. Nobody cares.
Gentlemen, can we move on
Nobody
to the
cares.
gentlemen?
Doesn't
can we
Joe
move
have
on to the
more
economy?
support than
The
Trump?
economy
Isn't there more
is,
like
I
Democrats?
say, recovering faster than expected from the shutdown.
Much faster.
In the second quarter, the unemployment rate fell to 8.4% last month. The Federal Reserve says the hit to growth, which is going to be there, is not going to be nearly as big as they had expected. President Trump, you say we are in a V-shaped recovery.
Putting a sweater
Vice
around
President
this-
Biden, you say it's
I'm
more
like-
of a
I'm like so
K-shape.
nervous that I'm
What
getting cold
difference
sweats, dude.
does that
Holy shit.
mean to the American people in terms of the economy? President Trump, in this segment, you go first.
So we built the greatest economy in history. We closed it down because of the China plague. When the plague came in,
Oh,
we
that's a
closed it
shock.
down, which was very hard
That is a
psychologically to do. He didn't think we should close it down. And
the
he was
China
wrong.
plague.
And again, 2 million people would be dead now instead of still 204,000 people is too much.
Dude.
One person is too much. Should have never happened from China. But what happened is we closed it down, and now we're reopening, and we're doing record business. We had 10.4 million
Record?
people in a 4-month period that we've put back into the workforce. That's a record the likes of which nobody's ever seen before. And he wants to
They're
close down-
manufacturing
he will shut it down
jobs.
again. He will destroy this country. You know, a lot of people.
Those are manufacturing
drugs,
jobs, dude.
alcohol,
Those are temporary. Those are going to
depression.
exist for
When you start shutting
max
it down, you
2
take a look
years.
at what's happening in some of your Democrat-run states where they have these tough shutdowns. And I'm telling you, it's because they don't want to open it. One of them came out last week. You saw that. Oh, we're going to open up on November 9th. Why November 9th? Because it's after the election. They think they're hurting us.
Are you serious?
By keeping them closed. They're hurting people. People know what to do. They can social distance. They can wash their hands. They can wear masks. They can do whatever they want. But they got to open these states up. When you look at North Carolina,
that won't
when you look-
help.
and these governors are under siege. Pennsylvania, Michigan, and a couple of others. You got to open these states up. It's not fair.
The
You're talking
China
about almost
plague.
it's like being in prison. And you look at what's going on.
Wait,
with
are you that
divorce,
late, Kier?
Look at what's going on with alcoholism and
repeating it.
drugs. It's a
Okay, I
very,
thought you
very
just
sad
heard him
thing.
say the trans
And he'll
flag.
close down the whole
no,
country.
no,
This guy will close down the whole country and destroy our country.
Okay, it's a little chill.
Our
Let me get a
country is
drink real quick,
coming
okay?
back incredibly well.
I'm freezing
setting
cold right now.
records
Give me a
as it
drink.
does it. We don't need somebody to come in and say, let's shut it down.
All right, your 2 minutes, sir. We're now moved to you. As I said, posing the question, the president says it's a V-shaped recovery. You say it's a K-shaped recovery.
The fuck
What's
does
the
that even
difference?
mean?
The difference is millionaires and billionaires like him in the middle of the COVID crisis have done very well. Billionaires have made another $300 billion because of his profligate tax proposal, and he only focused on the market. But you folks at home, you folks living in Scranton and Claymont and all the small towns and working class towns in America, how well are you doing? This guy paid a total of $750 in taxes.
Sir, wait, sir. Yeah, I understand. You've agreed to the 2 minutes, so please let him have it.
Do I get my time back? The fact is that he has, in fact, worked on this in a way that he's going to be the first president of the United States to leave office having fewer jobs in his administration than when he became president. Fewer jobs than when he became president. First
That
one in
hits,
American
dude. Yeah,
history.
it's true, though.
Secondly,
Yep.
the people who
I brought
have
some on the
lost their
podcast.
jobs are those people who have been on the front lines. Those people who have been saving our lives, those people who have been out there dying.
There's going to be
People who've been
I think
putting
there's
themselves
so
in
many
a
people
way to
watching
make
this right now.
sure that we
Not our
can
stream,
all
but
try to
generally.
make it.
There's a million people
The
watching this
idea
live
that
stream
he
on
is
C-SPAN.
insisting that we go forward and open when you have almost half the states in America with a significant increase in COVID
checking
deaths
on
and
Twitter
COVID
right now.
cases in the United States of America. And he wants to open it up more. Why does he want to open it up? Why doesn't he take care of the American? You can't fix the economy until you fix the COVID crisis. And he has no
look at
intention of
fact-checking
doing
on
anything
the
about
New York
making it
Times.
better for you all at home in terms of your health and your safety. Schools, why aren't schools open? Because it costs a lot of money to open them safely. You know, they were going to give, his administration was going to give the teachers and school students masks. And then they decided, no, couldn't do that because it's not a national emergency. Not a national emergency. They've done nothing to help small businesses. Nothing. They're closing. 1 in 6 is now gone. He ought to get on the job and take care of the needs of the American people so we can open safely.
All right.
Yes, no stutter.
We're
No
gonna get to-
stutter.
I have to respond to
I was
that.
Well,
Yeah,
you both had
flawless.
2 minutes, sir.
Excuse me, he made a statement.
Excuse
so
me.
did you.
People want their schools. People want their schools open. They don't want to be shut down. They don't want their state shut down. They
That's
want
your
their
fault.
restaurants. I look at New York.
That's
it's so
quite
sad
literally
what's
his
happening
fault.
in New York. It's almost like a ghost town. And I'm not
Wait,
sure. it
New
can
York's
ever
doing
recover
really well
what
right
they've done
now.
in New York. People want their places open. They want to get back to their lives.
People-
Aren't they
They'll be
opening right
careful,
now?
But they want their schools open.
People want
I'm
to
the
be
one that
safe.
brought back football. By the way, I brought back Big Ten football.
Who the fuck
Me,
cares?
and I'm very happy to
He
do it.
brought back
People of
football.
Ohio are very
Thank
proud
you,
of me.
Donald Trump, for
You know
bringing
why
back
I got that?
football.
It's a
Gentlemen, we're
phony
going to
ad.
get to your economic
Football.
plans going forward in a
Football.
moment. But first,
You brought
Mr.
back
President,
football.
as you well know, there's a new report that in 2016, the year you were elected president,
It's
and
fake
2017,
news.
your first year
It's
as
fake
president,
news.
that you
Oh,
paid
shit. Oh, taxes.
$750 a year in federal
Oh, this is gonna be
income
so great.
tax
This is gonna be the best
each
part.
of those years. I
Oh
know
my
that
God.
you pay a lot
He's
of
gonna
other
bring up
taxes,
Hunter
but I'm
Biden.
asking you the specific question. Is it true that you paid $750 in federal income
tax.
taxes each of those 2 years?
I paid millions of dollars in taxes, millions of dollars
Please,
of income
Tom.
tax, and
Millions
let me
of
just tell
income
you,
tax.
There was a story in one of the papers.
Show us your tax
I paid
returns.
$38 million one year. I paid $27 million
Show us your tax
one year.
returns.
I went. You'll see it as soon as it's finished. You'll see it. You know, if you want to do, go to the Board of Elections.
Says
There's a
that in 2016.
118-page or so report that says everything I have, every bank I have, I'm totally under leveraged because the assets are extremely good, and we have a very, I built
That
our
smile is so
Asking you a specific
charming.
question, which
But
is,
let me tell you-
I understand
I
all of
got it.
that. I
Tax
understand all
return.
of that.
But let me-
No, Mr. President,
Go ahead.
I'm asking you a question. Will you tell us how much you paid in federal income taxes in 2016 and 2017?
millions of dollars.
You paid millions of dollars?
Millions of dollars.
So
yes.
not 750.
Millions of dollars, and you'll get to see it.
I'm-
And you'll get to
When?
see it. But let me just
Inshallah?
tell you, Chris. Let me just tell you
What?
something.
What did he just say?
It was the tax laws. I don't want to pay tax. Before I came here, I was a private developer. I was a private business people.
I thought he said
Like
inshallah.
every other private person, unless
Like,
they stay,
inshallah.
they go through.
Yeah,
the
everyone
laws,
just like
and
this.
that's what
Why
it
did
is.
say inshallah?
He passed a
What the
tax
fuck?
bill that gave us all these privileges for depreciation and for tax credits. We build a building and we get tax credits, like the hotel on Pennsylvania Avenue. You get a massive, which, by the way, was given to me by the
He's losing his
Obama
temper.
administration, if you can believe that. Now, the
This
man
is so
got
good.
fired right after that happened. But
Vice
that's
President Biden, you want to respond?
Yeah, I do want to respond. Look, the tax code that made him, put him in a position that he pays less tax than a school teacher makes on the money a school teacher makes, is because of him he says he's smart because he can take advantage of the tax code. And he does take advantage of the tax code. That's why I'm going to eliminate the Trump tax cuts.
Yeah, he said inshallah. That's
We're
fucking
gonna
hilarious.
eliminate those tax cuts and make sure that we invest.
He did.
in
He was
people who,
serious?
in fact, need the help.
He actually.
People out there need help.
When in the name
Why
of
didn't you
when
do it
in the
over
name
the
of God?
last 25 years?
Because you
Why
weren't
didn't
president.
you do it
No
over the
way.
last
You weren't
25
president
years?
screwing
No,
things
no.
up.
You were a senator. And
You're
by
the
way,
worst
you were a
president
vice-
America has ever had.
Hey,
Come
You
on.
brought
let me
back
just say it, Joe.
football.
I've done more in 47 months.
Inshallah.
I've done more than you've done in 47 years, Joe. We've done things that you never even thought of doing,
Okay,
including
gentlemen.
fixing the broken military that you gave me, including
let's-
taking care
We're
of
Wait,
talking-
what?
Mr. President, we're talking about the
ISIS is
economy.
on a rise.
I wanna
Al
ask you
Qaeda and
about your
ISIS are
plans going
rising right
forward,
now.
Because
ISIS
Vice
is more
President, your
territory than
economic
ever.
Plan,
Is he fucking dumb?
if you were to be elected president,
That is true. That is
focuses
true.
a lot
Yes,
on
it is.
big government, big taxes, big spending. I want to focus first on the taxes. You propose more than $4 trillion over a decade in new taxes on individuals making more than $400,000 a year and on corporations. President Trump says that that kind of an increase in taxes is going to hurt the economy as it's just coming out of a recession.
Well, just take a look at what is the analysis done by Wall Street firms. Points out that my economic plan would create 7 million more jobs than his in 4 years, number one. And number two, it would create
Jobs.
an additional $1 trillion in economic growth because it would be about buying American. That we're going to make, the federal government spend $600 billion a year on everything from ships to steel to buildings and the like. And under my proposal, we're going to make sure that every penny of that has to be made by a company
But
in
respectfully,
America.
sir, I'm talking about taxes, not spending.
By the way, I'm going to eliminate a significant number of the tax. I'm going to make the corporate tax 28%. It shouldn't be 21%. You have 91 companies, in the Fortune 500 who don't pay a
stuttering
single penny in tax, making billions of dollars.
Why didn't you do it
Billions
before
of
when you were vice president with Obama?
Because you, in fact, passed that. That was
That's right.
your
I got
tax
it-
proposal.
I got it done. And you know what happened?
you got it done.
Our economy boomed like it's never boomed
The economy,
before.
And Amazon paid no income
Mr.
tax.
President, let me pick up on that. You would continue your free market approach, lower taxes, more deregulation, correct?
not lower taxes for the American people.
But let me.
Excuse me.
But in Obama's, you talk about the economy booming. It turns out
Trump
that in
can't praise
Obama's
his
final
tax
3
system.
years as president, more jobs were created, 1.5 million more jobs than in the first 3 years of your presidency.
They had the slowest recovery since economic recovery since 1929. It was the slowest recovery. Also, they took over something that was down here. All you had to do is turn on the lights and you pick up a lot. But they had the slowest economic recovery since 1929. Let me tell you about the stock market. When the stock market goes up, that means jobs. It also means 401k.
No, it doesn't.
If you got in,
He
if you
artificially
became
inflated the
president
stock
with your
market.
ideas, you want to terminate my taxes.
Trump
I'll tell you what,
purposefully
you'll
artificially
lose
inflated
half of
the stock market.
companies that have poured in here will leave, and plenty
Half
of
of the
companies that are
companies-
already here, they'll leave for
hardly any
other
companies
places.
have
They will
poured in
leave,
here.
and you will have a
Have it.
depression, the likes of which you've never seen.
Look,
Mr.
we
Vice President.
inherited the worst recession short of a depression in American history. I was asked to bring it back. We were able to have an economic recovery that created the jobs you're talking about. We handed him a
There we
booming
go.
economy. He blew it.
It wasn't
He blew it.
booming.
He
It
blew
wasn't
blew
booming.
it.
It was the weakest
Sir,
recovery
is it
since
fair to, wait, is
1929.
it fair
I am
to,
the
is it fair to say
Democratic
he
Party.
blew
That
it
was so
when,
fucking funny.
in
When
fact,
COVID came in.
when there was record low unemployment
Yeah.
before COVID?
Yeah, but
This is so
because
great.
what he did, even before COVID, manufacturing went in the hole. Manufacturing went in a hole.
Excuse
number
me,
one.
Chris. Wait.
Number two.
Chris.
Number three.
They said it would take. No, you're on number 2.
No.
Chris. They said it would
This
take
guy
a
or
miracle to bring back manufacturing.
got
I
him
brought
there.
back 700,000
Who's
jobs.
they?
brought back nothing. They gave up on
Who's
manufacturing.
they?
We did not
My
forget.
standard fare.
Biden and
I'm the guy
Obama.
He
that brought
totally
back
gave
the
up on
automobile
manufacturing.
industry.
All right, let him.
We brought back, I was asked to bring back Chrysler and General Motors. We brought them back right here in the state of Ohio and Michigan. He blew it. They're gone. He blew it. And in fact,
Freaking
they're
fuck
going.
Ohio
Fuck
had the
off.
best year it's ever had last year. Michigan had the best year they've ever had.
That is not
Many
true.
car companies
No,
came in from Germany, from Japan, went to Michigan, went to Ohio.
They're not having
And they
that.
didn't come in with you.
That's factually not right, right?
And so you take a look at what he's actually done.
That's not
He's
correct.
done very little. His trade deals are the same way. He talks about these great trade deals. You know, he talks about the art of the
I
deal.
kinda wanna stop
China's
going
made-
live and,
perfected
go
the art of the
downstairs and lay
steal.
down.
We have a higher
can
deficit with
leave if
China
you'd
now
like
than
to.
we did before. We have the highest trade deficit
China
with
ate
Mexico.
your lunch, down
All right, gentlemen,
18%.
in-
China ate your lunch, Joe, and no wonder your son goes in and he takes out billions of dollars, to manage. He makes millions of dollars. And also,
Simply
while we're
not
at it,
true.
why is it, just out of curiosity, the mayor of Moscow's wife gave your son $3.5 million.
is
What
not
did he
true.
do to deserve it?
That
What
is
did he do with Burisma
none
to
of that-
deserve
Wait, wait,
$183,000?
None
You've
of
asked
that
your
is
question,
true.
let him answer.
None of that is true. It's
Oh, really?
been
He didn't
totally
get
But no,
$3.5
hey,
million?
Mr. President,
It's
Mr.
totally-
President, please. You've
totally
asked a question.
discredited. Totally discredited. And by the way,
Well, wait, he didn't get
No, no.
$3.5 million, Joe?
Mr. Vice,
He got
Mr.
$3.5 million.
President,
it is not true.
Oh,
Here's-
really?
Mr.
Oh.
President,
But, Mr.
it's an open discussion, please.
No,
It's a fact.
Well,
It
you
is
have
not a
raised an
fact.
issue. Let the
It's been
Vice
totally
President
This is
answer.
not fact.
discredited.
Did
There was a
Burisma pay him
report.
$183,000 a month
With
no experience in energy?
Mr.
Look,
President,
no job.
My son did nothing
Like,
wrong at Burisma.
I think he did.
and
Mr.
the only
President,
guy that
let
did
him
something-
answer.
He doesn't want to let me answer because he knows I have the truth. His position has been totally, thoroughly discredited.
who?
And
The media?
By everybody. Well, by the
By the
media,
media,
by our
because they refuse to
allies,
talk
by the
about it
World
because they're
Bank,
embarrassed.
by everyone has discredited. Matter of fact, even the people
President,
who
please stop.
testified under oath.
So let me
under
ask you
oath,
this,
under-
Joe.
under
No, no,
oath.
go ahead, Mr. I'm listening to
Even the
you.
people under.
He got $3.5 million
testified,
from Moscow.
He testified under oath in his
Oh my
administration.
God.
Said, "I did my job and I did it very well.
Oh,
I
really?
did it
I'd like to
honorably."
know who they are.
Well, I'll give you the list
I'll
of the
fire
people who
them.
testified.
No, go ahead, sir.
Sure, you've already fired most of them because they did a
Some
good
because
job.
some people don't do a
well,
good
here's
job.
The,
With you,
Go
they
ahead.
say-
You get
here's the
wait a
deal.
minute. You get the final word, Mr.
well, it's hard to get any word in with this clown. Excuse me, this.
Hey,
this
let me just
person.
say,
No. I'm Mr. President.
$3.5
I'm Mr.
million.
Call
President.
him a clown.
That is simply.
why did
not
he
true.
deserve $3.5 million
It
from
did-
Moscow?
Look, here's the deal. We want to talk about families and ethics. I don't want to do that. I mean, his family we could talk about all night. His family's
My
already.
family,
No, let him go.
my family
already
lost
wrote-
a fortune by
Go ahead.
coming down and helping
Go
us
ahead.
with
Go ahead,
government.
sir.
And that's
Every-
such a.
and they're right
That's
here.
it, Mr.
That's
President.
such a
Every
great.
single
His
one of
son-
them lost
This
a
Wait,
is not
fortune
listen,
about
hold
my
on.
family or
helping
his
us with
family. It's about.
government.
His son, Donald Trump's son,
That's not true.
Donald Trump's son, founded a charity, then took
You can go on and on. And on
the
about this.
largest amount of that, of that charity money, defrauded charity, way worse than getting paid a little too much by Russia, which is, by the way, also not true.
Try to be
No,
honest.
I
He
That's a good
stood
thing.
up.
No,
he stood up,
the answer to
and
the
he
question is no.
threatened Ukraine.
No, sir.
With $1 billion, if you
That
don't get rid of
is
the
If you're-
press.
you know what, you're-
absolutely
wait,
not
stop.
You're on
true.
tape
You're-
doing it.
you're gonna
You're on
have-
tape.
True.
Gentlemen,
Over this, dumbass.
I hate to raise
Chris,
my voice,
he's
but
on
it seems
tape.
to be, why shouldn't I be different than the two of you? So here's the
Got a
deal.
good point.
We have 6 segments. We have ended that segment. We're going to go to the next segment.
gonna
In
way
that
over time.
segment, you each are going to have 2 uninterrupted moments. In those 2
God.
uninterrupted minutes, Mr. President, you can say anything you want. I'm going to ask a question about race, but if you want to answer about something else, go ahead.
Oh, race.
But I think that the country would be better served if we allowed both people to speak with fewer interruptions. I'm appealing to you, sir, to do that.
Well, and him too.
Well, frankly, you've been doing more interrupting
Well, that's
than
all
he
right,
has.
but he does plenty.
Well, less than, sir, less
there's
than.
plenty.
No, less than you have. Let's please continue on. The issue of race. Vice President Biden, you say that President Trump's response to the violence in Charlottesville 3 years ago, when he talked about very fine people on both sides, was what directly led you to launch this run for president.
Oh, yeah, sure.
President Trump, you have often said that you believe you have done more for black Americans than any president, with the possible exception of Abraham Lincoln. My question for the two of you is, why should voters trust you rather than your opponent to deal with the race issues facing this country over the next 4 years? Vice President Biden, you go first.
Well, I didn't think he said
equity
inshallah.
and equality. It's about decency. It's about the Constitution. And we have never walked away from trying to require equity for everyone, equality for the whole of America. But we've never accomplished it. But we've never walked away from it like he has done. It is true. The reason I got in the race is when those people, close your eyes, remember what those people look like coming out of the fields carrying torches, their veins bulging, just spewing anti-Semitic bile, and accompanied by the Ku Klux Klan. A young woman got killed. And they asked the president what he thought. He said there were very fine people on both sides. No president's ever said anything like that.
It is who's
now, second point I'd make to you is that when Floyd was killed, when Mr. Floyd was killed, there was a peaceful protest in front of the White House. What did he do? He came out of his bunker, had the military use tear gas on him so he could walk across to a church and hold up a Bible. And then what happened after that?
That's such like
the bishop of that
fascist
very
shit,
church
dude.
said that it was a disgrace. The general who was with him said all he ever wants to do is divide people, not unite people at all. This is a president who has used everything as a dog whistle to try to generate racist hatred, racist division. This is a man who, in fact, we talk about helping African Americans.
Dude, let's go.
1 in 1,000 African Americans has been killed because of the coronavirus. And if he doesn't do something quickly, by the end of the year, 1 in 500
I'm worried that
will
Trump
have
is going
been
to
killed.
like hammer
1 in
him on
500 African Americans.
defunding the police or
This
some shit.
man, this man.
I'm actually anxious right now.
I know he's going to.
African Americans. This man cares at all. This man's done virtually nothing. Look, the fact is that you have to look at what he talks about. You have to look at what he did. And what he did has been disastrous for the African American community.
We're almost 2/3 done.
So,
President Trump, you have 2 minutes. Why should Americans trust you over your
He's not going to say answer. He's going to respond to Joe Biden.
1994.
You ain't black
called
time,
them
guys.
Super predators, African Americans, the super predators, and they've never forgotten it. They've never forgotten it, Joe.
No, sir, it's his 2 minutes.
So you did that, and they call you a super predator, and I'm letting people out of jail now that you have treated the African American population community, you have treated the black community about as bad as anybody in this country. You did the 1990, and that's why, if you look at the polls, I'm doing
knew you
better
were
than
going for
any
crime, bro.
Republican has done in a long time, because they saw what you did. You call them super predators, and you've called them worse than that, because you look back at your testimony over the years, you've called them a lot worse than that. As far as the church is concerned, and as far as the generals are concerned, we just got the support of 250 military leaders and generals. Total support.
Dude.
Law enforcement.
Yeah, he's just
every
replying.
law
He's not
enforcement
answering the question.
group in the United States. I have Florida. I have Texas. I have Ohio. I have Portland. The sheriff just came out today and he said, I support President Trump. I don't think you have any law enforcement. You can't even say the word law enforcement, because if you say those words, you're going to lose all of your radical left supporters. And why aren't you saying those words, Joe? Why don't you say the words law enforcement? Because you know what? If they called us in Portland, we would put out that fire in a half an hour, but they won't do it because they're run by radical left Democrats. If you look at Chicago, if you look at any place you want to look, Seattle, they heard we were coming in the following day, and they put up their hands, and we got back Seattle. Minneapolis, we got it back, Joe, because we believe
We would
in
be
law
dying
and
of
order.
alcohol poisoning right now if we
The
played
top
this
10
drinking
cities
game.
and just about the top 40
fuck
cities
that.
are run by Democrats and in many cases radical left, and they've got you wrapped around their finger, Joe, to a point where you don't want to say anything about law and order. And I'll tell you what, the people of this country want and demand law and order, and you're afraid to even say it.
All right.
I'm
I
going to be
wanna
quite dead
return
ass.
to the
That's
question
fascist
of
speech.
race.
You know what?
Vice
You know what?
President
He's not
Biden,
said
after the
this was
grand
about
jury in
race.
the
It was
Breonna
about race, and you
Taylor
didn't say a
case
fucking thing about
decided
race. You
not
said
to
about
charge
police.
any of the police
I don't get how anyone
homicide.
who
You
gives
said
a
it
shit about
raises the
race
question,
would
quote,
hear what he just said
whether
about race
justice
and be like,
could be
oh, that
equally
makes sense, because he didn't say
applied
anything
in
about race.
America.
Some
Do
shit
you
about
believe
Law enforcement's
and
a
order.
voice.
What the
separate
fuck?
but unequal system of justice for blacks in this country?
Yes, there is. There's systemic injustice in this country, in education and work and in law enforcement and the way in which it's enforced. But look, the vast majority of police officers are good, decent, honorable men and women. They risk their lives every day to take care of us. But there are some bad apples. And when they occur, when they find them, they have to be sorted out. They have to be held accountable. They have to be held accountable. And what I'm going to do as President of the United States is call together an entire group of people at the White House, well, everything from the civil rights groups to the police officers, to the police chiefs, and we're going to work this out. We're going to work this out so we change the way in which we have more transparency in when these things happen. These cops aren't happy to see what happened to George Floyd. These cops aren't happy to see what happened to Breonna Taylor. Most don't like it. But we have to have a system where
And Donald Trump is going to respond with an ad hom.
Violence and
He's
response
not
is
gonna
never
like
appropriate.
give his.
Never appropriate. Peaceful protest is. Violence is never appropriate.
All right,
What is
Mr.
peaceful
What if they just started
protest?
kissing,
When
dude?
they run through the middle of the town
President Trump-
and burn down your
President Trump,
stores and kill people all
President
over
Trump,
the place,
that
and you
is
say
not
peaceful
peaceful
protest?
President
No,
Trump,
it's
I'm not
not, but
asking-
you say it is.
I did
President
not
Trump,
say
I'd
it.
like to continue with the
Yes,
issue
go
of
ahead,
race. I
please.
promise we're going to get to the issue of
Yeah,
law
I
and
agree
order
with,
in a moment. This month, your
What Shane said.
administration directed federal agencies to end racial sensitivity training that addresses white privilege or critical race theory. Why did you decide to do that, to end racial sensitivity training? And do you believe that there is systemic racism in this country, sir?
I ended it because it's racist. I ended it because a lot of people were complaining that they were asked to do things that were absolutely insane, that it was a radical revolution that was taking place in our
Radical
military,
revolution sounds good.
in our schools.
What?
all
That sounds
over the
good. That
place,
sounds
and
really
you
good. A
know it,
radical
and so
revolution.
does everybody
What
else,
is radical,
and he would know.
What is
Oh, it was
radical
totally
about
racist.
racial sensitivity training, sir?
If you were
Yeah.
a certain person,
Thank
you
you,
had
Chris
no
Wallace.
status in life. It was sort of a reversal. And if you
My
look
feet
at
are
the people,
freezing
we were
cold.
paying people hundreds of thousands of dollars to teach very bad ideas and frankly very sick ideas. And really, they were teaching people to hate our country. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to allow that to happen.
What?
We have to go back to the core values of this country. They were teaching people that
Go
our
back?
country is a horrible place, it's a racist place, and they were teaching people to hate our country. And I'm not going to allow that
Make
to
America
happen.
great
Vice
again.
President
Is
Nobody's doing
almost
that.
a racist.
He's
Oh,
the
you-
racist.
you just don't know.
Here's the deal. I know a lot more about
You
this
don't
than he
know.
does.
Let him finish.
The fact is that there
You
is
just called him
racial
racist.
insensitivity. People have to be made aware of what other people feel like, what insults them, what is demeaning to them. It's important that people know they don't want to. Many people don't want to hurt other people's feelings, but it makes a big difference. It makes a gigantic difference in the way a child is able to grow up and have a sense of self-esteem. It's a little bit like how this guy and his friends look down on so many people. They look down their nose on people like Irish Catholics like me and grew up in Scranton. They look down on people who don't have money. They look down on people who are of a different faith. They look down on people who are a different color.
You
In
banned
fact,
the,
we're all Americans. The only
the
way
Muslim
we're going
ban.
to bring this country together is bring everybody together. There's nothing we cannot do if we do it together. We can take this on and we can defeat racism in America.
President Trump, sir.
During the Obama-Biden
Oh,
administration,
God.
there was tremendous division. There was hatred. You look at Ferguson.
I'm going to
you look
shoot
at-
myself.
You
Wait.
go to many places.
Oh
Look,
my God.
There was
Becomes
tremendous
so much worse.
division during the first black president versus Trump's administration, which sees riots, which sees protests, which sees white supremacist groups on the streets.
like you about
And Obama had
Fucking
tremendous
the Proud
racial
Boys, the
divisions.
Proud Boys.
Right, yeah.
and order?
I'm
was
in
no
favor of law.
Charlottesville, there was no
follow
Are you
Proud
in
Boys.
favor of law and order? Go ahead,
Yes, I'm
say
a
it.
favor.
You asked a question, let him
This is a
finish.
joke,
and
dude.
order.
This is a
Law
fucking
and
joke.
Let him answer.
Law and
Fucking
order with
circus.
justice,
Ah,
where
this is
people
making me
get
sick,
treated
dude.
fairly. And the fact of the matter is, violent crime went down 17%, 15% in our administration.
All right.
It's gone up on his watch.
Went down much more
he
in
had-
ours.
All right, we're
He
down.
is president of
Mr.
the
President,
United
you're going
States
to.
of America.
China, we
Mr.
were
President,
breaking every record in the book.
Mr. President, you're going to be very happy because
And
we're
the
now going to
places
talk
we-
about law and order.
Places we had trouble were Democratic-run
Oh, my God.
cities.
That's
and
exactly
so
my
is
question.
Democratic-
There has been a
president, dude.
dramatic increase in homicides in America this summer, particularly, and you often blame that on Democratic mayors and Democratic governors, but in fact, there have been equivalent spikes
Yeah,
in
bitch.
Republican-led cities like Tulsa and Fort Worth. So the question
Thank you,
is
Chris
this really a
Wallace.
party
Thank you,
issue?
Fox News
I
guy.
think it's a party issue. You can bring in a couple of examples, but if you look at Chicago, what's going on in Chicago, where 53
Chicago's the
people
third
were
biggest
shot
city
and
in
8
the
died.
fucking
shot.
country, you dumbass.
If you look at New
Third
York,
biggest
where
city.
it's going up like nobody's
Third
ever seen anything. The
biggest
numbers
city.
are going up 100, 150, 200%. Crime. It
Republican
is
city.
crazy what's going on. And he doesn't want to say law and order because he can't, because he'll lose his radical left supporters. And once he does that, it's over with. But if he ever got to run this country and they ran it...
No, because law and order doesn't actually mean law and order. It's a dog whistle for a fascist police state. That's why Joe Biden doesn't want to say law and order, because he's not trying to dog whistle that he wants to enact law and order on peaceful protesters, on 93% peaceful protests. That's why he doesn't want to say it.
Anymore.
It's
Suburbs
it's
are by
pathetic.
and large
This is actually
integrated.
not that bad.
There's many people today
when you're actually
driving their
sitting and
kids to
thinking about
soccer
it.
practice and or to black and white and Hispanic in the same car as there have been any time in the past. What really is a threat to the suburbs and their safety is his failure to deal with COVID. They're dying in the suburbs. His failure to deal with the environment. They're being flooded. They're being burned out because his refusal to do anything. That's why the suburbs are in trouble.
I do want to talk about this issue of law and order, though. And in the joint recommendation that came from the Biden-Bernie Sanders task force, you talked about, quote, reimagining policing.
Yes,
First of all,
yes,
what
yes.
does reimagining
Yes.
policing mean? And do you support?
It means
Let me, if I might finish the question. What does reimagining policing mean? And do you support the Black Lives Matter
Oh, shit.
call for community control of police?
Okay, come on.
what I support is the police having the opportunity to deal with the problems they face. And I'm totally opposed to defunding the police offices. As a matter of fact, local police.
Ah,
the only
shit.
one defunding, and his budget calls for a $400 million cut in local law enforcement assistance. They need more assistance.
This is-
They need
okay,
when they
listen,
show
hold
up
on,
for a
wait.
9/11
Most
call.
look. Most
No,
people,
yeah,
most
no.
people in America, like 70% of Americans don't support defunding the police.
I'll tell you this.
So
Look,
I'm not,
I
I'm not-
fundamentally obviously disagree with what he's saying, but this is such a smart move because he is painting himself as somebody who's pro law enforcement, but he's also shown that he wants there to be justice for the innocent people killed.
Yeah.
And saying he doesn't want to defund the police really fucks with Trump's agenda because
That is not true.
Trump
Any law,
harps on that.
he has no law enforcement
That's not
support,
true.
Almost
That's
nothing.
look,
Oh, really? Who do you have? Name one group that supports you. Name one group that came out and supported you. Go
Look,
ahead.
look.
Think. We have time.
we don't have time to do
No,
anything.
think
except
about
listen.
it.
Look,
Name
folks,
one law enforcement group that came out and
I
supported
think, gentlemen,
you.
I think I'm going to take back the
There aren't.
moderator's
I don't think
role,
there
and
are any.
I want to get to
Why
another
does-
subject, which is the issue of protests in many cities that have turned violent. In Portland, Oregon, especially, we had more than 100 straight days of protests, which I think you would agree. You talk about peaceful protests. Many of those turned
We're not
into
peaceful.
riots. Mr. Vice President, you say that people who commit crimes should be held accountable. The question I have, though, is as the Democratic nominee, and earlier tonight you said that you are the Democratic Party right now, have you ever called the Democratic mayor of Portland or the Democratic governor of Oregon and said, hey, you got to stop this, bring in the National Guard, do whatever it takes, but you stop
up to them,
the
ass
days
white.
and
It's
months
up to
of
them.
violence in Portland?
I don't hold public office now. I am.
He's
a
literally an
former
American
vice
citizen.
president. I've made it clear. I've made it clear in my public statements that the violence should be prosecuted. It should be prosecuted, and anyone who commits it.
But
should
you've
be
never called
prosecuted.
for the people,
He's never
the
said
leader.
that.
Excuse me, sir. You have never called for the leaders in Portland and in Oregon to bring in the National Guard and knock off 100 days of riots.
They can, in fact, take care of it if he just stay out of the way. Look here.
Oh, really?
Here,
Oh, really?
here's the thing.
I sent in the
I
U.S.
asked him a
Marshals to
question.
get the killer
No,
of the young man in the middle of the street. They shot him, and for 3 days,
President Trump,
Portland wouldn't do anything. I had to send in the U.S. Marshals. They took care of business.
Go ahead, sir.
You also sent in undercover
his own former
police.
spokesperson said,
kidnap fucking
riots
people,
and
dude. Oh my-
chaos and violence help his cause. That's what this is all about.
I don't know who said that.
I do.
Who?
I think Kellyanne Conway.
I don't think she said that.
She said that. And so here's the
Shout out Claudia
here's the
Conway.
point. The point is that that's what he is, keeps trying to rile everything up. He doesn't want to calm things down. Instead of going in and talking to people and saying, let's get everybody together, figure out how to deal with this. What's he do? He just pours gasoline in the fire constantly, every single solitary time.
Okay, and to end this, button up this segment, I'm going to give you a minute to answer, sir. You have repeatedly criticized.
I have to answer his statement.
No, you have
His
repeatedly.
statement. Wait,
you have
just 1
No,
second.
you've been talking
He
back
made
and
a
forth.
statement.
I'm asking you.
I would love to end it.
Sir.
I would love to end it. and
You know,
we
if
would
you want to
very-
switch seats,
we would very quickly.
We could do that, but
I'd
I'm
send in
no,
the National Guard. It would be over. There'd be no problem.
Okay.
But
they
you
don't
don't
want
do
to accept
that
the
because
National Guard.
the more
have
national.
repeatedly criticized the vice president. For
You don't want to do that because the more National Guard, the more police you send in, the more violence you're going to get. This is not going to be a curb of violence. The middle-aged people who don't want shit have already left the streets. There is only radical people left.
Need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these.
And they don't give a shit if there's the fucking National Guard.
In Portland. Are you
I'm willing
prepared to
do that,
specifically
but
do it?
Well,
I
go
would
ahead,
say
sir.
I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from the right wing.
So what are you
If
saying?
I'm willing to do anything I want
20
to
more
see.
minutes.
Then do it, sir.
Say it. Do it. Say it.
Agonizing.
You want to call him? What do you want to call him? Give me a name. Give me a
White
name. Go ahead.
supremacists and
Who would
right
you like me to
supremacists.
condemn?
White
Proud Boys.
supremacists and right
Proud Boys.
Yeah, Proud Boys.
Stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what. Somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left, because this is not a right-wing problem.
His
This
own
is a left-wing.
FBI director
This
said,
is a left.
He mentioned the Proud Boys, and he didn't condemn them. He said stand down and stay back, and then he immediately deflected to Antifa.
FBI director said.
Well, then you know what? He's
No,
wrong.
we're done, sir. We're moving on to the next. We're
Everybody
moving.
gives
When a bat
advice
hits
in
you
your
over the head, that's
administration.
not an idea.
Everybody in
Antifa
your
is
administration
bad.
tells you the truth has a bad idea.
Can I tell you what?
You have no ideas that are
Antifa is a dangerous
All right,
radical
gentlemen, we're
group.
now moving on to the Trump
And
and
you ought to be
Biden
careful with
records.
them. They'll overthrow you.
When
in
a
2 seconds.
president,
This is a
I'm
broken
gonna ask
record,
a question.
dude.
When the president seeks a second term, it
Biden
is
held his
generally a
own there, once
referendum
again.
on his
This
record.
is not the- I mean, this
but
is
Vice
bad.
President
This is really
Biden,
bad.
you like to quote one of your dads.
Biden kind of killing it right now.
Don't compare me to the Almighty, compare me to the alternative. And in this case, sir, you are the alternative. Looking at both of your records, I'm going to ask each of you, why should voters elect you president over your opponent in this segment? President Trump, you go first, 2 minutes.
Because there has never been an administration or president who has done more than I've done in a period of 3.5 years.
That's such
And
a
that's
joke.
Despite the impeachment hoax.
That's horse shit.
And you saw what happened today with Hillary Clinton, where
I'm
it was
not
a
doing
whole
the next
big
two, dude. I
con
can't
job.
live stream the next
But
two.
despite going through all of these
I can't.
things, where I had to
I'll be
fight
doing it. I'll have some
both
people on.
flanks and behind me and above.
That's fine.
There has never been an administration that's done what I've done.
Maybe I'll change
the
my
greatest
mind, but,
before COVID
this is
came in,
just
the
way too
greatest
much for me,
economy
man.
in history, lowest unemployment numbers. Everything was good. Everything was going. And by the way, there was unity going to happen. People were calling me for the first time in years. They were calling and they were saying, it's time maybe. And then what happened? We got hit, but now we're building it back up again. A rebuilding of the military, including Space Force and all of the other things. A fixing of the VA, which was a mess under him. 308,000 people died because they didn't have proper health care. It was a mess. And we now got a 91% approval rating at the VA, our vets. We take care of our vets. But we've rebuilt our military. The job that we've done, and I'll tell you something, some people say maybe the most important. By the end of the first term, I'll have approximately 300 federal judges and Court of Appeals
People are calling
judges.
this similar to this Jerry
and
Springer show,
hopefully
where
3
Trump is like a
great
dad that doesn't
Supreme
want to
Court
admit that
judges,
it's like it's
justices.
his child.
That is a record, the likes of which very few people, and you know one of the reasons I'll have so many judges? Because President Obama and him left me 128
This is such a joke,
to
dude.
fill. When you leave office, you don't leave any judges. That's like you just don't do that. They left 128 openings, and if I were a member of his party, because they have a little different philosophy, I'd say if you left us,
Which you were, by the way. He was a registered Democrat for his entire life.
you can't be a good vice president. But I want to thank you because it gives us almost, it'll probably be above that number by the end of this term.
Time, sir.
300 judges. It's a record.
Looking at both your records, why should voters elect you president as opposed to President Trump? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
He called him
Under
president.
this president, we become weaker, sicker, poorer, more divided, and more violent. When I was vice president, we inherited a recession. I was asked to fix it. I did. We left him a booming economy, and he caused a recession.
It's fucking
With
true,
regard
dude,
to
as much
being
as
weaker,
like...
the fact is that I've gone head to head with Putin and made it clear to him we're not going to take any of his stuff. He's Putin's puppy. He still refuses to even say
He's
anything
Putin's
to Putin about
bitch.
the
He's
bounty
Putin's
on the
bitch.
heads of American soldiers.
Yeah,
Your son got
And-
$3.5 million.
That's right.
The bounties,
And
the
by the
bounties, the
way,
bounties.
Mr.
My
President,
son-
wait a minute. Mr. President, your campaign agreed to both sides would get 2-minute
The bounties
answers,
actually a good point.
uninterrupted. Well, your side agreed to it, and
Oh, he's
why don't
muted.
you observe what your campaign agreed to as a ground rule, okay, sir?
He never keeps his word. Can
Because-
you add back
No,
He's
I'm
a
not
person
asking.
that's
That
not
was a
telling
rhetorical
the truth, that's
question.
all.
Can you
Go
add
ahead,
back
sir.
30 seconds?
Yeah,
Because-
yes,
okay.
you may have.
All right.
Go ahead.
So, thirdly, we're poor. The billionaires have gotten much more wealthy by a tune of over $300 to $400 billion more just since COVID. You in the home, you got less. You're in more trouble than you were before.
You got less.
In terms of
He puts
more
it simple.
violent. When we were in office, there were 15% less violence in America than there is today. He's president of the United
15% less
States.
violence.
It's on his watch.
And the riots?
And with regard to more divided, the nation can't stay divided. We can't be this way. And
15
speaking
more
of
minutes.
my son, the way you talk about the military,
this is
the way you
this
talk
is
about
actually the
them being
most agonizing thing
losers
I've
and
ever
being-
experienced in my entire life.
He's doing the losers thing.
just
He's doing the
being
losers thing.
suckers. My son was in Iraq. He spent a year there.
Yeah.
He got the Bronze Star. He got the Conspicuous Service Medal. He was not a loser. He was a patriot, and the people left behind there were heroes.
Really?
And I resent.
Are you talking
like
about
hell.
Hunter? Are you talking about
I'm
Hunter?
talking about my son, Bo Biden. You're talking
I don't know.
about.
I don't know Bo. I know Hunter.
Yeah, you
Hunter
know
got
Bo.
thrown. Hunter
Oh
got
my
thrown out of the
God.
military. He was thrown out, dishonorably discharged.
That's not true. He
For
wasn't dishonorably.
cocaine use, and he didn't have a job until you became vice president. And once you
None of
became
that
vice
is-
That's a conspiracy theory.
in Ukraine,
That's not true. That's factually incorrect. Hunter Biden was not dishonorably discharged and has never gotten a criminal charge for cocaine use.
Like a lot of people we know at home had a drug problem. He's overtaken it. He's fixed it. He's worked on it, and I'm proud of him.
But why
I'm
was he
proud of
given
my
tens
son.
of millions
All
of
right.
But
dollars?
he wasn't given
All right.
tens of
He
millions
was
of
given
dollars. That
tens
is
of
totally,
millions of
that's
dollars.
President Trump,
totally
President Trump,
discredited.
we've already been
Totally discredited.
We've already been through this. I think the American people would rather hear about more substantial
So do I.
subjects. Well, you know,
Yes.
as the moderator, sir, I'm going to make
I know,
a
but when
judgment call
somebody
here.
gets $3.5 million
Okay, great.
from the
Let's
mayor
talk
of
about-
Moscow,
let's talk
That is
about-
I
not
think it's a
true.
Gentlemen,
That
terrible thing.
report is totally
Why did he get
discredited.
it?
I
Mitt
think,
Romney on that committee said it wasn't worth taxpayers'
Gen-
money, that report. It was written for political reasons.
you know,
Election integrity and the
I'd like
economy
to
is
talk
gonna be
about
next.
climate change.
So would I.
Okay.
Oh, climate change.
Forest fires in the West are raging now. They have burned millions of acres.
Yes!
They have
It was on the list.
displaced hundreds of thousands of people.
Climate change.
When state officials there blame the fires on climate
go.
change, Mr. President, you said, I don't think the science knows.
Oh.
Over your 4 years, you have pulled the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Accord. You have rolled back a number of Obama environmental records. What do you believe about the science of climate change, and what will you do in the next 4 years to confront it?
I want crystal clean water and air. I want beautiful, clean air. We have now the lowest carbon. If you look at our
What?
numbers right now, we are doing phenomenal.
Look at Biden's face. The lowest carbon emissions? That's wrong.
Commission. If you look at the
Biden's
Paris
laughing
Accord,
because
it was a
I'm sure his face-
disaster from our
trying not to laugh
standpoint.
now.
And people are
This is
actually
embarrassing.
very happy about what's going on because our businesses are doing well. As far as the fires are concerned, you need forest management in addition to everything else. The forest floors are loaded up with trees, dead trees that are years old, and they're like tinder. and leaves and everything else. You drop a cigarette in there, the whole forest burns down. You've got to have forest management.
What do you
You've got to have
believe?
cuts.
What do you believe about the science of climate change, sir?
I believe that we have to do everything we can to have immaculate air, immaculate water, and do whatever else we can that's good. You know, we're planting 1 billion trees, the Billion Tree Project.
It's a billion.
And it's very
You
exciting
believe
for a lot of people.
that human
That's a shot.
pollution, greenhouse gas
do you mean?
emissions
Oh, yeah.
contributes to the global
Is that a
warming
shot?
of
I
this
think a
planet?
lot of things do, but I think to an extent, yes. I think
Trees
to
don't
an
do
extent,
shit.
Yes, but I also think we have to do better management of our forests.
He hasn't answered the question. He said he wanted clean air. He said he wanted clean trees.
California's burning.
He didn't say that he believed or didn't
How
believe
will
in
you
climate change.
address climate change? How will you address climate change? I'll address climate change because I like air. What? That's not a plan.
Calls.
That is
know,
what
in
you
Europe,
want.
They
you
live
dumb
their
fuck.
forest cities. They're called forest cities. They maintain their forests. They manage their forests. I was with the head of a.
11
Dude draws
minutes.
nature country.
parallels to Europe.
It's a
He
forest
draws
city.
parallels to
He
Europe
said,
when it's
"Sir,
convenient
we
for him.
have
Okay, here's the
trees
issue.
that
Okay,
are
wait.
far
He's been over the
more
economy,
they
actually.
ignite
Okay.
Much easier.
We only have election integrity
There
left.
shouldn't be that problem. I spoke with the governor about it.
Yeah.
I'm getting along very well with the governor.
He
But
might
I said,
reference
at some
the
point,
Project Veritas video.
You can't every year have hundreds of thousands of acres of land just burned to the ground.
But, sir,
That's burning down because of a lack of
But,
management.
sir, if you believe in the science of climate change, why have you rolled back the Obama Clean Power Plan, which limited carbon emissions in power plants? Why have you relaxed?
Because it was driving energy prices through the sky.
Why have you relaxed fuel economy standards that are going to create more pollution from cars
Well,
and
not
trucks?
really, because what's happening is the car is much less
Not really.
expensive and it's a much
Wrong.
safer car. And you're talking about a tiny difference. And then what would happen, because of the cost of the car, you would have at least double and triple the number of cars purchased. We have the old slugs out there that are 10, 12 years old. If you did that, the car would be safer. It would be much cheaper by
But
$3,500.
in the case of California, they've simply
No,
ignored
but you would take
your
a lot of cars
rollback.
off the market because people would be able to afford a car. Now, and by the way, we're going to see how that turns out. But a lot of people agree with me, many people. The car has gotten so
Many
expensive
people.
because they have computers
Source?
all over the place.
Trust
for
me.
an extra little bit of gasoline. And,
That's not-
and I'm okay with electric cars, too. I think I'm all for electric cars. I've given big incentives for electric cars. But what they've done in California is just
All right.
crazy.
Vice President Biden, I'd like you to respond to the president's climate change record, but I also want to ask you about a concern. You proposed $2 trillion in green jobs. You talk about new limits, not abolishing, but new limits on fracking, ending the use of fossil fuels to generate electricity by 2035, and zero net emission of greenhouse gases by 2050. The president says a lot of these things would tank the economy and cost millions of jobs.
He's absolutely wrong, number one.
They would create
Number
jobs.
two, if in fact, during our administration, the Recovery Act, I was in charge, able to bring down the cost of renewable energy to cheaper than or as cheap as coal and gas and oil. Nobody's going to build another coal-fired plant in America. No one's going to build another oil-fired plant in America. They're going to move to renewable energy, number one. Number two, we're going to make sure that we are able to take the federal fleet and turn it into a fleet that's run on their electric vehicles. Making sure that we can do that, we're going to put 500,000 charging stations and all of the highways that we're going to be building in the future. We're going to build an economy that, in fact, is going to provide for the ability us to take 4 million buildings and make sure that they, in fact, are weatherized in a way that, in fact, they'll emit significantly less gas and oil because the heat will not be going out. There's so many things that we can do now to create thousands and thousands of jobs. We can get to net zero in terms of energy production by 2035. Not only not costing people jobs,
35.
creating jobs, creating
35.
millions of good paying jobs.
I think this will be the
not
first
15
Irish
bucks an
president.
hour,
I'm not sure
but
though.
prevailing wage, by having a new infrastructure that in fact is green. And the first thing I will do, I will rejoin the Paris Accord. I will join the Paris Accord because with us out of it, look what's happening. It's all falling apart. And talk about someone who has no relationship with foreign policy.
So far,
Brazil,
he's
the
said a lot of
rainforests
good
of
things.
Brazil are being torn down, are being ripped down. More carbon is absorbed in that rainforest than every bit of carbon that's in
Trump is not going to reply with a plan for our green economy. He's going to say jobs are getting taken away. He wants coal jobs. He wants iron jobs. And that's what he's going to push. He's not going to talk about the environment. he's not going to acknowledge that the second benefit from Joe Biden's economic plan is also saving the planet. He's just going to see it as an economic plan with no factor saving the planet. Let's see.
To balance environmental interests and economic interests, and he's drawn his line.
Well, he hadn't drawn a line. He still, for example, makes sure that he wants to make sure that methane's not a problem. You can now emit more methane without it being a problem. Methane. This is a guy who says that you don't have to have mileage standards for automobiles that exist now. This is a guy who says that, well, the fact that it's all true. And here's the deal.
He's talking about the Green New Deal, and it's not $2 billion or $20 billion, as you said. It's $100 trillion.
Wait.
Where they want to rip down buildings.
Yeah, wait. He's talking about the Biden plan. Donald Trump is attacking the wrong bill.
Yep.
They want to take out the cows too. That's not true either, right? This is a 100 trillion.
Look,
that's more money than our country could make in 100 years if we're going
not the case.
All right, let me
destroy our
because I
country.
actually wait a minute, sir. I actually have studied your plan, and it includes upgrading 4 million buildings, weatherizing 2 million homes over 4 years, building 1.5 million energy efficient homes.
Yes.
So the question becomes, the president is saying, I think some people who support the president would say that sounds like it's going to cost a lot of money and hurt the economy.
What it's going to do is going to create thousands and millions of jobs, good-paying jobs.
Let him finish, sir.
He doesn't know how to do that.
$100 billion.
The fact is, it's going to create millions of good-paying jobs, and these tax incentives for people to weatherize, which he wants to get rid of. It's going to make the economy much safer. Look how much we're paying now to deal with the hurricanes.
The economy much
by the way, he
safer.
has an answer for hurricanes. He said,
Yeah, the point is not only does it promote a safe economy, but the net benefit is there. There's a net benefit from the jobs that are created and the money that comes into the economy, than the like amount of federal budget you lose to build these homes, for example.
Environment is clean, and we all are in better shape.
The worst.
We spend billions of dollars now, billions of dollars on floods, hurricanes, rising seas. We're in real trouble. Look what's happened just in the Midwest.
I hope they talk about election integrity
storms
still.
that come through and wipe out entire sections and counties in Iowa.
Well, I want to hear what Trump has to say about mainland
because
voting.
of global warming. We make up 15% of the world's problem. We, in fact, but the rest of the world, we've got to get them to come along. That's why we have to get back into the Paris Accord.
All right, gentlemen.
Wait a minute, Chris. So why didn't he do it for 47 years? You were vice president. Why didn't you get the world? China sends up real dirt into the air.
How long was Biden vice president for? 47 years?
Dude, no, he's so stupid. Biden's never been president.
My plan.
That's
green.
I said vice president.
Build every
is not
building.
my plan.
I want to rebuild
All right,
every.
If he knew anything about, if he knew
Gentlemen,
anything
He made a
about,
statement about the military. He said I said something about the military. He and his friends made it up, and then they went with it. I never said it.
Okay.
That is
What
not
he
true.
did
Sir,
is he
you're done in
said
this segment.
he called the military.
Mr. Vice President.
This is such a joke. Wait, this is such a joke.
He said
This is literally just like him and his friends said something about me, and then Joe Biden never called the military bastards.
Answered his final question.
Final question is, I can't remember which of all his rantings.
I'm having a little trouble myself, but and about the economy and about this question of what it's going to cost.
The economy.
I mean, the Green New Deal and the idea of what your environmental
Green New
changes
Deal,
will do.
The Green New Deal will pay for itself as we move forward. We're not going to build plants that, in fact, are great polluting plants.
So do you
We're going to
support
build
the Green New Deal?
Pardon me?
Do you support?
No, I don't support the Green New Deal.
you don't? Oh, well, that's a big statement.
I
That
support
means you
the
just
bottom.
lost the radical left.
Guys, look, wait, guys, radical left who aren't going to fucking vote for me. Guys, look.
The Biden plan, which is
Fucking
different than
idiot.
what he calls the radical Green New Deal.
All right, gentlemen, final segment, election integrity. As we meet tonight, millions of Americans are receiving
This is it.
mail-in ballots or going to vote early. How confident should we be that this will be a fair election, and what are you prepared to do over the next 5+ weeks, because it'll not only be to Election Day, but also counting some ballots mail-in ballots after Election Day. What are you prepared to do to reassure the American people that the next president will be
This
the
is going to be
legitimate
fascist propaganda to the
winner
max.
of this election?
I'm calling it
in
now.
this
This is
final
gonna be-
segment?
Here comes-
Mr. Vice President,
yeah.
you go first.
Prepared to let people vote. They should go to iwillvote.com, decide how they're going to vote, when they're going to vote, and what means by which they're going to vote. His own Homeland Security Director, and as well as the FBI Director, says there is no evidence at all that mail-in ballots are a source of being manipulated.
Oh shit, dude.
They said that.
Yeah.
The fact is that there are going to be millions of people because of COVID.
Trump
that are going
is
to be
fucking failing,
voting by
honestly.
mail-in
I'll be
ballot.
honest
Yeah,
with
no,
you.
he is. I'm going to be, yeah,
He sits
we'll talk
behind
about this
the
after.
desk
Trump has
and
had-
sends his ballot to
Trump has had
Florida.
literally no
Number
impact.
one. Number two, we're going to make sure that those people who want to vote in person are able to vote because enough poll watchers are there to make sure they can socially distance. The polls are open on time, and the polls stay open until the votes are counted. And this is all about trying to dissuade people from voting because he's trying to scare people into thinking that it's not going to be legitimate. Show up and vote. You will determine the outcome of this election. Vote,
Thank you, Joe.
vote, vote. If you're able to vote early in your state, vote early. If you're able to vote in person, vote in person. Vote whatever way is the best way for you.
I'm not excited
Because
for Trump's
He
turn.
cannot stop you
Yeah,
from
he's gonna
being able to
say some shit about
determine the
Project
outcome of
Veritas.
this election. And
Maybe.
in terms of whether or not, when the votes are counted, and they're all counted, that will be accepted. If I win, that will be accepted. If I lose, that'll be accepted. But by the way, if in fact he says he's not sure what he's going to accept, well, let me tell you something. It doesn't matter, because if we get the votes, it's going to be all over. He's going to go. He can't stay in power. It won't happen. It won't happen. So vote. Just make sure you understand you have it in your control to determine what this country is going to look like the next 4 years. Is it going to change? Or you get 4 more years of these lies.
Mr. President, 2
All right,
minutes.
strong statement.
So when I listened to Joe talking about a transition,
Fuck.
there's been no transition from when I won. I won that election. And if you look at crooked Hillary Clinton, if you look at all of the different
my God.
people, there was no transition because they came after me trying to do a coup. They came after me spying on my campaign. They started from the day I won and even before I won, from the day I came down the escalator with our First Lady. They were a disaster. They were a disgrace to our country. And we've caught them. We've caught them all. We've got it all on tape.
When did we
We've caught
catch
all.
them?
And by the way, you gave the idea for the
What
Logan Act
tapes?
against General Flynn. You better take a look at that because we caught you in a sense. And President Obama was sitting in the office. He knew about it too. So don't tell me about a free transition. As far as the ballots are concerned, it's a
Here.
disaster.
This is
A
so dumb, dude.
solicited
You
ballot.
just scratched your mic.
Okay, solicited is
I know.
okay. You're soliciting, you're asking, they send it back, you send it back. I did that. If you have an unsolicited, they're sending millions of ballots all over the country. There's fraud. They found them in creeks. They found some with the name Trump, just happened to have the name Trump just the other day in a waste paper basket. They're being sent all over the place. They sent
Where is he getting
in the
this from?
Democrat area. They sent out 1,000
don't
ballots.
know. I
Everybody
have no
got 2
fucking
ballots.
idea.
This is going to be a fraud like you've never seen. The other thing, it's nice on November 3rd, you're watching and you see who won the election. And I think we're going to do well because people are really happy with the job we've done. But you know what? We won't know. We might not know for months because these ballots are going to be all over. Take a look at what happened in Manhattan. Take a look at what happened in
It's gonna be a
New
couple of
Jersey.
days,
Take a
not
look at what
months, you
happened in
fucking
Virginia and other
wad.
places. They're not losing 2%, 1%, which, by the way, is too much. An election could be won or lost with that. They're losing 30 and 40%. It's a fraud, and it's a shame. And can you imagine where they say you have to have your ballot in by November 10th? November 10th. That means that's 7 days after the election, in theory, should have been announced.
Okay.
We have major
No,
states
time-
with that,
sir,
all run by
2
Democrats.
minutes is 2 minutes.
All run by
You're-
Democrats. It's
President
a fraud.
Trump,
It's a rigged election.
you're going to be able to continue.
That's
You have been
insane.
charging for months that mail-in
called it rigged.
balloting is going to be a disaster. You say it's rigged, that it's going to lead to fraud. But in 2018, in the last midterm election, 31 million people voted mail-in voting. That was a quarter, more than a quarter of all the voters that year cast their ballots by mail. Now that millions of mail-in ballots have gone out, what are you going to do about it? And are you counting on the Supreme Court, including a Justice Barrett, to settle any dispute?
Yeah, I think I'm counting on them to look at the ballots, definitely.
Oh,
I don't
my
think
God.
I hope we don't need them.
Oh my God,
in
he
terms of
fucking
the
announced
election
it.
itself. But for the ballots, I think so.
It's not just rumors of GOP lawyers anymore. He fucking announced it. He just confirmed what we talked about on the podcast yesterday.
Were invalidated. They take them. We don't like them. We don't like them.
But what
They
are you
throw
going to
them
do
out
about it?
left
There
and
are
right.
millions of ballots going out
What
right
you
now.
do
What
is
are
you
gonna
go
do?
and vote. You do a solicited ballot,
No,
and that's
I'm not-
okay,
I know
or
your
you go and
complaint.
vote.
I'm asking you about the fact that millions of people
You go
have
and vote. You go and
No,
vote
but
like
what I'm
they
saying is, what are you
like they
gonna do
used
about
to
the
in
fact
the
that
old.
millions of people?
You either do, Chris, a solicited ballot where you're sending it
What's-
in, they're sending it back.
there's
and
a
you're
virus?
sending-
What virus?
They have mailmen
Virus.
with lots of it. Did you
What
see
the
what's
fuck is
going
an
on? Take a look at
unsolicited
West
ballot?
Virginia mailmen selling the ballots.
Oh, it's when
they're being sold.
Nobody
they're being
asked.
dumped
You have to-
in
you have to-
rivers.
in many
This
states,
is
you
a
have to ask
horrible
for
thing
a
for our country.
mail-in ballot.
This is not.
there is no-
A place like
this is-
California, they just send it to you automatically, and you can choose to fill it out or not.
All right, yeah.
President Biden,
5 states
in fact,
have had
go ahead,
mail-in
sir.
ballots for the last decade or more. 5, including 2 Republican states. And you don't have to solicit the ballot. It's sent to you. It's sent to your home. What we're saying is, they're saying is that it has to be a postmark by the time, by Election Day. If it doesn't get in till the 7th, 8th, 9th, it still should be counted. He's just afraid of counting the votes because he knows
You're
the
wrong.
outcome.
You're wrong.
No, I want to continue with you on
I
this,
love counting
Vice
the
President
votes.
Biden.
Chris,
because
he's so wrong when he makes
in
a
fact,
statement
no,
like that.
excuse me, Vice President Biden, the biggest problem, in fact, over the years with mail-in voting has not been fraud historically. It has been that sizable numbers, sometimes hundreds of thousands of ballots are thrown out because they have not been properly filled out, or there is some other irregularity, or they missed the deadline.
Thank
So the
God.
question I
Chris
have
Wallace
is,
is doing a
are
fucking
you
amazing job.
concerned
Yes,
that
yes,
the
he
Supreme
seriously
Court
is.
with a Justice Barrett will settle any dispute?
I'm concerned that any court would settle this because here's the deal. When you get a ballot and you fill it out, you're supposed to have an affidavit. If you didn't know, you have someone say that this is me. You should be able to, if in fact you can verify that's you before the ballot is thrown out, that's sufficient to be able to count the
checking
ballot
4chan, dude.
because someone made a mistake. and
Why?
not dotting the
I just wanna see
correct
what they're
I.
saying, dude.
Who they voted for, testify, say who they voted for, say it's you. That is totally legitimate.
All right.
Excuse me, Chris, when you
I
have
a final-
80 million ballots
Gentlemen, I have a final
sent in
question.
and swamping the system,
you've
He's
know it
super
can't
mad
be
now.
done.
He's
You
so
know it
pissed.
can't, and already
He's
it's
pissed
been
because
so
he's
now-
fucking wrong.
Mail
Final-
service delivers
wait a minute, gentlemen, in the
185
final
million.
question-
He's pissed because he genuinely hasn't brought up any facts at all.
In 8 states, election workers are prohibited, currently by law, 8 states, from even beginning to process ballots, even take them out of the envelopes and
Yes.
flatten them until Election Day. That means that it's likely, because there's going to be a huge increase in mail-in balloting, that we are not going to know on election night who the winner is, that it could be days, it could be weeks.
Could be months.
Until we find out who the new president is. So first for you, sir, finally for the vice president, I hope neither of you will interrupt the other. Will you urge your supporters to stay calm during this extended period, not to engage in any civil unrest, and will you pledge tonight that you will not declare victory until the election has been
it's gonna be tough for
independently
Trump.
certified? President Trump, you
I'm
go first.
urging my supporters to go into the polls and watch very carefully because that's what has to happen. I am urging them to do it. As you know, today there was a big problem. In Philadelphia, they went in to watch. They're called poll watchers, a very safe, very nice thing. They were thrown out. They weren't allowed to watch.
You wanna know why?
Because bad things happen. Bad things.
Because they were Proud Boys.
Yeah.
Because they were white supremacists. They were thrown up, not because they wanted to watch the polls, but because they showed up with guns.
Tens of thousands of ballots being manipulated. I can't go along with that. And I'll tell
what-
you
what
what,
does that
from
mean,
a
not go
common
along?
sense,
Does that mean
I'll
you're gonna
tell you
tell
what
your
it means.
people to take to the
It means you
street?
have a fraudulent election. You're
And what are
sending
you
out
gonna do?
80
And
million
what would you
ballots.
do
They're
about
not.
that?
They're not equipped to. These people aren't equipped to handle it. Number one. Number two.
Okay.
They cheat. They cheat. Hey, they found ballots in a waste paper basket 3 days ago. And they all had the name military ballots. They were military. They all had the name Trump on them.
Vice President
You think
Biden,
that's good?
Vice President Biden, final question for you. Will you urge your supporters to stay calm while the vote is counted, and will you pledge not to declare victory until the election is independently certified?
Yes, and here's the deal. We count the ballots, as you pointed out. Some of these ballots in some states can't even be opened until Election Day. And if there's thousands of ballots, it's going to take time to do it. And by the way, our military, they've been voting by ballots since the end of the Civil War, in effect. And that's what's going to happen. Why was it not? Why is it for them somehow not fraudulent? It's the same process. It's honest. No one has established at all that there is fraud related to mail-in ballots. That somehow it's a fraudulent process.
It's already been established. Take a
look
look at Carolyn Maloney's race
I
in
asked
Manhattan.
you had an opportunity
Look
to
at
respond.
Carolyn
Just
Maloney.
stop fucking
They have
interrupting.
no idea what
Vice
This is
happened.
so
President Biden,
irritating.
go
dude.
ahead.
He has no idea what he's talking about. Here's the deal. The fact is, I will accept it, and he will too. You know why? Because once the winner is declared, after all the ballots are counted, all the votes are counted, that'll be the end of it. That'll be the end of it. And if it's me, in fact, fine. If it's not me, I'll support the outcome, and I'll be a president not just for the Democrats. I'll be a president for Democrats and Republicans. And this guy,
I want to
if
see
in
an
fact,
honest
Okay,
ballot count.
gentlemen,
We-
you say that's the end of
Chris,
it. This is
I
the end
wanna
of
see
this
an
debate.
honest ballot count.
We're
And I
going to
think
leave
he
it
does
there.
too.
To be continued
does.
as in more debates as we
Holy
go on.
shit.
President Trump,
Jesus.
Vice President Biden, it's
Biden
been an
won.
interesting hour and a
I'm-
half.
I'm-
I want to
yeah,
thank you
easy.
both
Right here, wait,
for
hold on.
participating in the
Let's-
first of three
let's-
debates that you have agreed to engage in. We want to thank Case Western Reserve University
Fuck me,
and the
man.
Cleveland Clinic for hosting this event. The next debate, sponsored by the Commission on Presidential Debates, will be 1 week from tomorrow, October 7th, at the University of Utah in Salt Lake City. The two vice presidential nominees, Vice President Mike Pence and Senator Kamala Harris, will debate at 9 p.m. Eastern that night. We hope you watch. Until then, thank you and good night.
Good night, Chris Wallace.
Good night, Chris.
All right, let's talk about let's talk about this, okay? First of all, holy fucking shit, dude. That was insane. Should I put on some?
That was the. Yeah, put on some jazz. Put on my jazz playlist.
No, that'll get copyrighted. I can't get no copyright. Here, there's some coffee house jazz.
No, use my jazz playlist that I made.
I just told you it's going to get copyrighted.
Oh, you're right.
All right, Jesus Christ. Okay, we just lost a bunch of our viewers, but that was pretty fucking insane. What do you think about that?
Oh shit! Wait, C-SPAN's gonna do call-ins. I'm gonna fucking. I'm gonna definitely take part in
Finish.
that.
Yeah, finish talking to me first, though.
Let's. So that was insane. That
Yes,
was great.
it
I'm
really
actually
was.
gonna look at the. I'm gonna. I look. When I say it was great, it was entertaining. It was embarrassing. But I personally think this will have a negative effect on Trump. The reason I say that. What do you have on your screen right now?
Just
wanna
images
make
of the
sure.
debate. Why?
Okay. I was curious. I want to see how this affects the polls in the next 3 or 4 or 5 days. Because that's the way of seeing how, like, what if it has had a chilling effect or if it hasn't had a chilling effect, if it's had a good effect, who gets the bounce. Typically, debates actually don't change how people poll that much. However, I think maybe like 40 million people are watching this. Usually it's like more like 6 million people watch the debates. So these are singular debates. These are unique debates where you had on each live stream on YouTube, you had 1 million people watching. And then on Fox News, MSNBC, C-SPAN, and CNN on cable news, I'm sure you'll have like 11 million people for each. So we have a shitload of people watching, people who usually don't even pay attention. What they saw is Trump sounding like an ass. If you've been paying to the press conferences, paying attention to the press conferences, you heard Trump basically repeating everything that he said during the press conferences, which is when pressed on the issue of how many deaths there have been, he's like, well, there would have been so many more, and look, even one death is bad, but there could have been so many, and Biden would have done such a bad job. You hear that over and over again. First of all, that's unsubstantiated. You can't substantiate a claim like that, and it's unsubstantiated. Biden held his own there. I'm not a Biden stan, like I'm not, but
Yeah.
He did a good job. He brought new concepts that he hasn't spoke about before to the table. And I think Trump was really trying to, I think Trump almost did himself in by saying, oh, you lost a lot of radical left supporters there. He might have gotten more moderate people to be like, oh yeah, you know what? He is not adopting radical left stances. Whereas the quote unquote radical left, which would be, I think Trump would call me and you radical left because he doesn't know what the fuck.
Yeah, of course. We are very radical left, aren't we?
He would call most of the youth, most of the people who were voting in the Democratic primary for people like Sanders and Warren, radical left. He'd be like, oh, well, you guys. He doesn't understand that we know. We don't expect Biden to adopt the Green New Deal. We already know that Biden is going to not defund the police. But Biden said what we wanted. You know how Biden kind of kept me, the sort of radical leftist sort of, kept the farther left part of me there, is he said what I've been saying, which is Antifa is not a fucking organization. The fucking FBI literally declared that, and Trump had no response to it except repeating what he had already been saying.
Dude, the most annoying thing to the exact question of will you condemn white supremacist hate groups was tell the Proud Boys to stand back, to stand down,
stand by. He said stand by. I just looked at 4chan. That's why I was looking at 4chan, because I wasn't sure if he said that or not. People on fucking 4chan, where the Proud Boys go to congregate, those fuckers, they're literally saying he said stand by. This is so based. He is fucking pandering to them. He's pandering to them. And this is what he did in 2016 when he, instead of saying we need tighter border security, he said the Mexicans are sending rapists and they're sending criminals. And instead of saying we need counterterrorism, he says we need to stop having Muslims in our country. So he has superseded the need for euphemisms, and he's gone literally straight to what he means. He's gone to the meat of what he means, which is he's a xenophobe, he's a racist, he doesn't give a fuck. So same thing here. He didn't say, well, I don't know, the Proud Boys, I'm not in control of them. He said stand by. It's fucked up. And he did not condemn white supremacy.
Yeah, no, he didn't. He didn't answer. As a matter of fact, he didn't answer a lot of the questions. I mean, when you really dig deep down into it, especially on the ones that Biden ended up going first, it was really filled with Biden answering the question, and then Trump, instead of answering the question for himself, instead of taking the opportunity to make himself look good there, and he had that opportunity, instead of taking the opportunity to make himself look good here, he just ad hominem Biden. That's all he did. He presented ad hominem attacks towards Joe Biden. He pretty much none against Joe Biden's actual statement or argument, and most important of all, no statements of his own. And that's the most important. No statements of his own. He made very little statements about what he wants to do in the next election. He refused to release his tax returns. He refused to tell his supporters to not freak out and to let the election play out. He refused to do that. Even after the debate ended, he called for his supporters to go into the polling stations. I mean...
Yeah. But you know what? Biden didn't hold back. He called him a clown. He called him a racist. I don't know if anybody caught that.
Yeah.
He called him a racist. He called him a clown. And he said that he was the worst president in American history. And he stuttered through it. But I think that nobody gives a fuck anymore about that.
Biden has seriously held his own tonight. I'll say that. He is like...
Absolutely.
Well, look, listen,
he kind of ate...
With him calling Trump a racist and with him calling him a clown, he still kept his composure. He was very composed. He laughed at Trump's statements. He smiled. He had that charming smile. Starting to gay out for Biden. He had that beautiful, beautiful, charming smile. What a beautiful man. He really, really made himself look like he was in control. The start didn't look like it, but especially, already halfway through, you could tell Biden was really like holding this down.
I need to go, dude. That was amazing. I'd like to. I'm thinking maybe we record a podcast once post debate polls start coming out.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that the vice presidential poll will be much calmer, and set a precedent for the next two presidential debates. That was a shit show. That was the worst presidential debate in American history. It was a disgrace. I'm sure that Joe Jorgensen is going to be shooting up in the polls after this.
Yes, he might. He very well might.
It's a woman. You
I keep switching up Gary Johnson and Joe Jorgensen. I know Joe Jorgensen woman. I've written about her, dude, but I keep saying the wrong thing. Joe Jorgensen, she, the woman, who I would probably support at this point. I think if the third party was an option, I would probably support Joe Jorgensen or what's his name? What's the eco-socialist? What's
Howie Hawkins?
Yeah, Howie
Hawkins is a dumb. But Howie Hawkins is kind of an idiot. I would probably. Look. So if it was, if it was anyone else versus Trump and they were leading in the same way that Biden is, if they were leading in the same way Biden is, I would support them over Trump, absolutely.
Yeah.
But they're not. They're fucking. Biden is polling at somewhere between 47 to 55%, while Trump is down 7%.
Yeah, I think look,
on average.
look, Shane made a good point. The Trump supporters are definitely like not going to be swayed away from Trump, and the hardcore Biden supporters like aren't either. Those are both going to continue voting for Biden even harder. But I think the moderates, the undecided people, were definitely swayed towards Biden in this debate.
To say, dude, is I am so deeply, severely embarrassed to be an American right now.
Yeah, Biden definitely appealed to moderates. Yeah, I am as well.
He appealed to moderates. He was consistent as shit. He did not say anything he hadn't said before.
Listen. Okay,
he did not.
Yeah, go ahead.
He did not let the Hunter Biden bullshit get like.
Yeah.
And also he did the thing that I loved, where he got fucking mad and he was like, "You called me like my son was not a fucking sucker." And then Trump was like, "Oh well, what about Hunter?" It's like, "I'm not talking about fucking Hunter." Like, that was good. And I'm not like, I'm gonna repeat this again. I'm not a stand of Joe Biden. I don't love him.
Right.
But fuck, it's just such a fucking.
Yeah, it's insane, man. It really is pretty insane. And I think, listen, he appealed to moderates, especially when he did not endorse defunding the police. He supported the police, but he swayed them to the left, because I think one of the great examples in debates that Joe Biden really showed here today is to prove people's notions about you wrong. All of these moderates that might have been swayed towards the right by some right-wing propaganda and thinking Joe Biden wants to abolish the police, he proved them wrong. He said, "Look, guys, I'm on your side. I'm somebody who's pro-law enforcement. I agree with you. I want to support our law enforcement. They risk their lives, and I don't want to defund the police. But we need to hold these bad apples accountable." And that is really what stood out today.
Yeah.
All right.
As a German, I would say that your perspective's a little bit warped, because you're kind of an American, even though you are a German.
Right.
For any other Germans, any other people outside of the U.S. looking at this, even fucking people in the Philippines with Duterte, who is a fucking dictator.
Yeah.
We look like ass clowns.
We do.
Americans look like ass
we were
clowns.
just listen before we started the stream. We were talking about the German Parliament, the German Bundestag, and how they kind of roast each other. This was not roasting, friendly roasting. It's kind of an embarrassment, especially for the current sentiment of American politics, since it's meant to be more serious. Because I was talking to my mother about this. The reason that German politicians could joke around in their parliament is because when the AfD, which is the very far right-wing party, when they get this and this percentage of the Bundestag, it's not democracy that's at stake. But this democracy is at stake, and there can't be fucking around with this. So, yeah.
Here's the thing, dude. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not exactly sure that the likes of Bernie Sanders would have done much better. Now, he wouldn't have stuttered, but he wouldn't have fared well under the harshness of Trump.
I'm
and
genuinely...
Biden, I would agree, is.
Go ahead.
Joe Biden is definitely, in my opinion, I'd say he's softer. He's softer than Trump.
I think honestly Biden was ideal for this. I mean, if we could have predicted this debate and this climate in general, I would have been a Biden supporter, although I align most closely with Bernie. I mean, when it comes to beating Trump, I think the sentiment that was pushed from the very start by a lot of Biden supporters was that only Biden can beat Trump, and I disagree with that vehemently, but yes, Bernie does promote some more radical ideas, and it does leave a lot more. If Bernie was in this debate, it would leave a lot more room for Trump to call him a socialist, to call him a radical, without Bernie being able to contradict. Because when Trump called Biden a socialist or called him a radical, what he could contradict with was that he doesn't want to defund the police. But I'm sure Bernie would think differently.
Yeah.
And Biden can contradict and say he doesn't support the Green New Deal.
Also, dude, he took as many opportunities as he could, and it was great, to mention that the wealthy have taken a shit ton of money and the poor have lost a shit ton of money. And he kept talking when they were getting in a fight about I loved this, is when they were getting in a fight about whose family is worse, whose family is more nepotistic and
well, Biden didn't even want to bring this up. Yeah.
Biden, no, what Biden said after defending his defending Hunter and doing something great, which was defending the fact that he was addicted to drugs and how he's still a human being even though he was addicted to drugs. Which fucking Trump wouldn't say that. Is he said, "I'm not concerned about my family or your family. I'm concerned about the families who are watching this at home."
Yeah.
That was fucking
really
great.
hammered it in. Yeah.
I want to say this though. Frank Ocean just posted for the first time since his brother died.
On Instagram?
Yeah, and he said, please fucking vote for Joe Biden.
I think honestly, dude, like Frank Ocean and Tyler the Creator and these kind of people endorsing that you should vote for Joe Biden really helps because a lot of people who are fans, these people are undecided and who are like, nah, I don't want to vote. So that's how it all feels fake. The problem is not Donald's president and
Yeah, I gotta go, dude. I need to lay down, have a cup of water.
Well, I need to go to sleep because it's 5 in the morning and I have school tomorrow. But yeah.
I don't know if anyone's watching this. Thank you so much for watching this. I enjoyed this. I also hated it. I'm tense. I went from wearing no shirt to wearing a sweater. I really, really hope this turns out well. Fuck. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. We will talk to everybody later.